Alrighty, welcome to the Model Y Arrival Special Episode 106 of Tok Was Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla's director of autopilot software, Ashok Elswami, has released example video of one of about 40 crashes per day that autopilot prevents when drivers inadvertently hit the accelerator instead of the brakes. Following the release of FSD beta version 10.69, Elon Musk has confirmed that the cost of full self-driving in North America will increase to $15,000 US, or approximately 21,000 Australian dollars on the 5th of September. This is in contrast with the Australian FSD price of $10,100, which remains unchanged at this stage. Giga Shanghai is feeling the heat with high temperatures causing greater energy demand, while drought is causing hydropower production reductions and water restrictions. Although Tesla's production facility is currently operating at full capacity, it is unknown how long it can continue to do so, with it and its suppliers, including CATL, staring down impending restrictions. Bank Australia has announced that it will no longer fund new ICE car loans beyond the end of 2024. The 7th-ranked mutual banking organisation, whose assets total $7.2 billion, stated that it intends to help minimise customers' carbon footprint while incentivising a more affordable transportation option. Tesla have confirmed that their second AI Day will be held in Palo Alto in California on Friday the 30th of September. This is the same location as Tesla's first AI Day in August last year. Tesla have officially released their Cloud Profiles feature with software release version 2022.24.5. This will allow various driving preferences including mirror, seating, steering wheel positions, autopilot, driving, climate control, navigation, media and data sharing preferences to be synchronized across all supported vehicles accessible from the owner's Tesla mobile app. The same software revision also brings the option to silence Sentry mode sounds while still keeping Sentry mode active. In local news, 459 much anticipated standard range rear-wheel drive Model Ys finally arrived last weekend aboard the vehicle carrier Thermopylae. All cars cleared the port within 72 hours and deliveries are expected to begin later this week. The total number of cars that have been observed to arrive into Perth this quarter sits at 793. And that was this week's news. Alrighty. At this stage, we traditionally ask for anyone who's new to please say hello. So if you are new and you're comfortable in doing so, yeah, please say hello and tell us about your car.
Can I introduce my dear friend Gerard, who's sitting next to me? We're up
Absolutely,
on site.
Richard.
But 5 years of having to hear me badgering on about Tesla has meant that this young gentleman put in his order for his blue performance Model Y with white interior. When was it?
Shortly after the window opened.
Yeah, so you got it at the first price.
Yeah.
And delivery date?
Well, when I spoke to the Tesla rep, he looked it up on his pad, and he reckons end of December, start of January.
Oh, congratulations. I thought what you might have ordered was actually a shotgun to stop Richard from banging on about Tesla. But
has it worked?
I couldn't afford the wood to board his mouth up, let alone a shotgun.
I'm not certain it would work anyway.
You're not wrong. This man comes into my office and says, "Let's talk Tesla," and I mean that's the magic words, right?
Excellent. Congratulations, Jared. That's fantastic news. And yeah, Richard, I trust you're enjoying the warmer environment.
Yeah, it's a bit warmer. Still bloody cold.
Cool. Okay. So anyone else that's new, please do say hello. I think I see some new names, but I'm not sure. Oh, or what you can do if you like is once you worked out how to unmute yourself, whatever, just interrupt and just say hello. So that's cool. Has anyone got any opening questions or comments? I mean, obviously the biggest bit of news was the arrival of Model Y on the Thermopylae, which is a huge event. And
can you put that in perspective of how many cars have been delivered to Perth up to now versus the amount that have come this quarter?
There's about, before the last Model 3 delivery, which according to Harold's drone footage was 324, was it?
334.
Yeah. 334, sorry. There was about a little bit over about 2,570 odd cars. But, you know, give or take, you know, a few dozen.
So maybe like a third or something, you reckon?
Almost. Yeah, we got 700 and I forget what I said in the news, 793.
93.
So that's the best
what
part of a
was the
third.
first Tesla delivered to West Australia?
2015, at the end of 2015, I think it was.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So in this target, probably by the end of the year, we're going to have the same amount of Teslas again as what we had in the first, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20, in the first 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be one half of a year.
Or even less than that. I mean, in the first 3 or 4 years, there were only about 30 or 40 cars delivered to WA per year. So it took a long time for that ramp to build. Really, only once Model 3 got released did we actually start seeing a bigger curve.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, as Robin Denholm foresaw or foreshadowed in the middle of this year, there were 26,500 Teslas in Australia, and she wasn't surprised if that was going to double by the end of this year. And that's kind of what's happening. It's awesome.
And so that 26,500 took, 7-8 years to build. And in 6 months, we're going to do what we've spent 8 years doing previously. So that's exponential growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, in a few weeks, I challenge anyone to go for a short drive and not see a Model 3 or a Model Y on the roads. You know.
That's now. Well, not the Model Ys, but the 3s. Yeah, I see them all the time now.
I agree with you, Paul, on that one. I see a Model 3 probably maybe four times a day.
You just look at your picture on your phone, do you, Alex? Looking back on your wallpaper, is that what you're talking about?
No, because where I work, right outside school, and I see at least four Teslas, 4 Model 3s going into the school every day, dropping off kids. There you go.
They are increasingly a favourite mum's taxi, I've noticed.
Yeah.
They really are.
Mm.
Cool.
So delivery dates, because I mean, I've got a delivery date for Monday at 1 o'clock, if that's helpful.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So what time on Monday, Russell?
1:30.
1:05. So by 6.
1:30.
Oh, 1:30. Okay, so by 1:31 you'll be gone. It's awesome. Just a minute.
I was hoping for the other option where they would not even have to see you, and you just on your phone you can walk in and just take whichever one belongs to you. But yeah, not an option.
Well, during COVID, they were doing touchless deliveries. So,
Yeah,
I've got Monday 9:30. So.
Oh, Andrew, awesome. So, what's our bid? This is good. We could have a bit of an auction and see who. Andrew's in the lead by half a day.
Yeah,
do we have
Monday 9:30 as well? Yeah.
There you go.
Fantastic!
I'll see you there, Gary.
Yeah. Well, you might. I was on a couple of weeks ago explaining I hadn't told my wife I'd ordered the car, so you might see me get murdered. I don't know.
I'll be too busy driving out.
That's right. All right, can I have your car?
You should probably drive away with it. Better me and drive away with it.
That's fantastic. So, is anyone earlier than that? Earlier than 9:30 on Monday? I hear there's some people I saw on the interwebs. There's someone that's getting their car on Friday.
Yeah. Oh, not me.
Not me.
Nor me, that's for sure.
Do you know if any of the employees at the Perth store bought a Model Y?
They did, but I don't think any of them are getting it on the first day. So,
okay.
And some have bought Model 3s too.
Yeah, and at least one has a performance, so they'll be waiting with the rest of us.
Yeah, mine's the 13th, so I'm not too happy. So we've ended up cancelling our our holiday because that was when we were going to go away.
Can we
with the
just
car,
check? So, what did you get a plain Poverty Pearl basic, Paul, or what did you?
Yeah, just the standard. And I ordered with you guys as soon as it opened, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, because we ordered. I think I ordered my one because I ordered 2 that day. The second one was the standard range, and I think I actually put that order in after your order was filled. Mine was after yours.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird it's come out that way.
Yeah, I went and had a chat to them, and they were like, "Oh, it's just the way it is," sort of stuff. And I was just going.
Did you take any? Did you respond to the text message straight away?
I think Leonie might have been. She was in a meeting or something like that, but it's still that sort of thing of, you know, they should have just gone, well, you've ordered it and this is the order. This is when your appointments are, you know, that sort of stuff. So.
Yeah, but I think it might be in the order, somewhat in the order that you respond to the text or log in to book a slot. A little bit like getting footy tickets. Oh, which I forgot to get today. Oh, whoops.
Yeah, that doesn't. Well, we replied straight away. Looked at the text, straight to the computer, clicked on the first time, but 7th of September, and you saw when Seb did it pretty much the same time as you guys. So one of the first. So I don't think it really matters. Isn't it like the order they come off the ship or something, like where your car happens to be on the boat?
Well, that's what Tesla was sort of saying to us as well, because I went and had a chat. Nicely.
They definitely come off in batches, and obviously if your VIN is in the first batch, then you're likely to get it early and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, what Dad said was effectively like they gave you 2 days. You know, they'd sent the text and you picked a time over the 2 days, and I was just going, well, it's, you know, almost 4 weeks or something. So I was just going a little bit wrong in that regard. So but it is what it is. I'm trying not to be bitter about it.
When we picked up the Model 3 earlier this year, I was late getting to the text because I was in a bloody meeting, and I went back a couple of weeks. But so I think it does matter how you reply. And on this one, I stopped the meeting and replied straight away. So
yeah, no, I did tell Leonie, but she didn't listen. So.
Yeah, but as it proves with us, it didn't matter how quick you were to the text because we were super quick. And when next week.
Yeah. And as we've said many times before, once you've taken delivery, none of this matters anymore.
I know. I'm just a bit
but he's had to cancel his holiday.
I've cancelled the holiday because the whole point was to go camping with it, and you know, it's sort of like, fuck, you know, because I moved work forward and back, so I'm going to be hell busy as well. I'm already busy, but I'm going to be hell busy because I was this experience sort of stuff, and now we're going to do a staycation around Perth, so it'll be fine. But I know once I get it, I'll be fine. But
I think the more important question is going to be is who's going to be the first person to crash one, because I know when.
Definitely not me.
I don't think Joseph's got one on order, so we're.
Big shout out to Joseph at work that watches us religiously. I think he's at karaoke. I hope you're singing well and on tone, Joseph. But don't listen to those nasty people that are willing you to crash another Tesla. Although then again, I will have your battery pack.
Well.
Yeah, that's right. We all want the battery pack.
The battery pack. Oh, there will be an iMe for sale though. So there you go. So, because we don't need 3 electric cars, unlike some people.
Well, you don't need them. You just sometimes want them, you know.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. Thanks, Russell, for that uplifting thought. There's always going to be the first person to crash one.
Richard's pretty proud about how you drove it 500 meters down the road and wrecked the car. So I mean,
well, it was a rim. Yeah, that's right. Oh dear. Has someone got something a bit more uplifting to ask?
Yeah, Harold.
Yes, Nigel.
You've got Darren who's put something in chat. He's got a couple of questions.
Oh, apologies. Darren, feel free to just ask them out.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, you're on mute.
You put yourself
on mute. There you go.
Mute. Okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you. It's a really stupid one, but for you guys is probably an easy one. I'm trying to understand if you buy a 20 amp tail or a 32 amp tail or a 16 amp tail, you've got a 3-phase house and the plug that you're plugging into is an 8 amp plug, I believe. Is a 16 amp tail going to pull more power from an 8 amp plug?
Okay,
that how it works? Like an adapter?
No, so the standard tails that come with your car in the UMC, which stands for Universal Mobile Connector, is a 10 amp tail, which is a standard, you plug into a standard GPO, general purpose outlet, PowerPoint, and you also have a 15 amp tail, which has a thicker or taller earth pin, and that can pull 15 amps. Now that's fine for a single phase or a 3-phase house. Now you will see on the internet, you can buy a 32 amp single phase tail, but it comes often with a 3-phase plug that you can plug into 3-phase outlets. Now the thing is,
By the way,
sorry, say again, Pete.
Ken was just showing it. Just hold it up again, Ken, so I can see. Yeah.
Sorry, I'll just spotlight Ken for a moment so
That's
we
right.
can.
I'm trying to avoid my background, but yeah, those are the two tails that come with the UMC. As you can see,
So
this one has a fatter tail, which is a 15 amp, and this one is an ordinary 10 amp. And they both have the same, if I can get them to go, bottom end that plugs into the UMC.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Now, so then the technical thing is, if you have a 3-phase house, you should not use the 32 amp, let's call it single phase tail, in your 3-phase house.
Okay.
And the reason is because the Office of Energy or Western Power have a regulation that basically says that any 3-phase house in a large metropolitan area, so an urban area, can only draw 32 amps per phase. Now, by actually drawing 32 amps down one phase, presumably there'll be other parts of the house that are also feeding off that same phase, and then you'll actually be drawing more current than is permitted for a 3-phase house. If you have a single-phase house, forget what I said, you can go for it, go for your life. What you should do for a 3-phase house is either draw less current or get a 3-phase charger. And obviously one of the cheapest ones is the Tesla HPWC, the high power wall connector, which I think, Pete, is that $750? I think it is.
Yep. It's gone from 780 to 750. Yep.
And then that will actually draw 16 amps per phase and charge your car at 11 kilowatts or roughly 83 kilometers per hour, which is as fast as it can go on AC charging. So that's the much better setup than to say get an electrician to install a 3-phase outlet and you plugging in this 3-phase tail, which only pulls on one phase.
Yeah, and just on another point of clarity, something that kind of annoys me, there's lots of people on the internet that will tell you can buy a 20 amp tail for the UMC, and it doesn't exist. The only 3 charging rates that the UMC will do are 10 and 15 and 32. So what they're selling you is a 32 amp tail that you have to manually dial down, which is a bad idea.
Right,
okay. Humble opinion.
Okay. Also, there's nothing stopping you buying that single phase 32 amp if you want to take it to another charging location, like in the city, for example. There's car parks that have that functionality available. So you might not use it at home, but depending on your circumstances, you might actually find it useful to charge in certain locations. But you can always check on PlugShare. I'm sure if Harold brings it up, we can show the one that's at His Majesty's Theatre, for example, which has that functionality. Also, if you're traveling sort of, in the country or whatever, you might come across someone with a 32 amp outlet like that, which might be useful for you to draw on. But you're only going to get single phase off the UMC no matter what you do, because it's only going to draw single phase on the current ones. I think there's some older ones kicking about that do 3-phase, but typically you're going to have to buy a separate one from another brand that do a 3-phase, which Tocqueville sell as well.
That's coming
my
up
car,
properly, I
actually,
think. Is that coming up on the screen? Yeah.
That's my car there, that one.
And that's at His Majesty's, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. That was a few. May now. Yeah, but yeah. There's two spots there actually. Two charging spots next to each other. Just as you come in, it's like prime position as you drive up.
That's weird.
That's
photo.
not it.
That's not it.
No.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
You sort of just come straight in. You go up the ramp, and it's like right ahead. You pretty much just drive straight into it.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks, guys. The other question was: Has anybody installed a hitch in? Because I know there's a lot of adverts for approved installers of hitches in Australia, but they don't seem to be in WA.
Towlink in Wangara.
Pardon?
Towlink in Wangara is the only one that I'm aware of. TOWLINK.
Excellent. Okay.
The owner there is Keith. He's a really nice guy.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. That's all
And
the
if you're
questions
a
I have.
member of Topway, you get a discount.
Thank you very much.
Correct.
And
So,
it's a very big discount.
several hundred. It pays for your membership about 10 times over.
Yeah. You might as well just join if you're not a member.
Just getting annoyed parking next to a Polestar and a Kia, and they both got tow hitches, and I don't. When I go to Kalamunda, so that's the main reason for getting one.
Also, there's another consideration. So with the Model Y being delivered, very soon, Tesla is going to be bringing out its own factory tow hitch. I don't think it will ever be available for the Model 3, but were you asking for a Model Y or Model 3?
Oh, sorry, it's for the 3, yeah.
For the 3, okay, yeah. All right. So yeah, I was hoping that they would make it available for the Model 3 as well, but yeah, it doesn't look like they will. But yeah, there it is.
But that's for the Model Y though. That's not the Model 3.
Yeah. It's very reasonably priced for a factory.
Just on that, Pete, because we're probably going to get it. Is that so? We would just buy it on the Tesla shop. How does it work?
Yeah.
How's it installed?
Actually, Joe, what you should do is click on this link that says email me when this item is available to order.
Maybe I do that.
Yeah.
And then just put in your email address, and then hopefully, theoretically, you will get an email when it is available, and then you can just order it.
Yeah,
and then you take it into Tesla and they'll fix it.
Yeah, it'll get installed at the service center.
Cool. Because we're not doing ourselves, we're not handy like that.
And then the only thing you have to do is buy yourself, go to Supercheap or whatever, and just get the 2-inch or the 50mm tongue attachment or whatever you want, ball attachment that basically slots into this receptacle, and there's a locating pin that holds it with a, what's it called, an R-clip, I think it is. And that just goes in there. Because as they say on their description here, the ball mount is not included. And that's probably because there's any multitude of different styles of ball mounts that it's no point them wasting it because you might not use it. Well, use the one they provide you.
Darren, also, just so you know, with the Model 3, because it's not a factory tow bar, if you reverse with the trailer, whatever you're going behind you, it will beep at you because it thinks you're going to drive into the trailer. Whereas the Model Y will have towing mode where it will basically turn off that beep sound. So you can get a little bit annoying if you're doing a lot of reversing with it, but yeah, that's one downside to be aware of.
Yeah, that's cool. I think pretty much every car I've had when I've had the bikes on the tow hitch have beeped with the sensors anyway. So it'd be pretty strange getting into Y and there's no beeping. I'd be going, where the hell are the bikes falling off? Thank you guys, appreciate that.
Absolutely, pleasure. Has anyone else got any other questions? I think, sorry, I'm just trying to save something. Gareth, you had a question about ChargeHQ.
Yeah, so I've got a single phase house with just a normal socket outlet in the garage. And at the moment, I've got no reason to get anything bigger than that because I can leave the car at home. We don't use it to commute. and charge off the solar. And someone suggested the ChargeHQ app. I just wondered if anyone had any experience of that.
It's still in beta mode, but yeah, the main benefit of that app is that by using software, it allows you to divert your excess solar to your car rather than exporting that electricity. There are other features to it, but it is still in beta mode. It's only do you know what brand inverter you have?
Yeah, I've got a Feronius and I've managed to link it already,
Yeah,
but I haven't linked my
yeah.
Tesla account yet, so I'm not. It mentioned something about it wasn't supported by Tesla, so I didn't know if there was any issues with that.
Yeah, so you have to give ChargeHQ either your Tesla credentials or a token. I'm not sure how that. One or the other, or either.
You give an API key that accesses your Tesla account, and it talks to the car directly. So it doesn't actually control the charger at all. It controls the car's charge rate, and that feeds back to the charger indirectly. So it does work with Teslas, and you can use it with a Tesla high power wall connector. But in that mode, it's actually just driving the car's charge rate, which works fine.
Okay, so it would work with the Tesla charger, the wall mounted
absolutely.
Charger. Yeah, okay, because they're not that expensive. So.
No.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Just got a quick question from Eddie Kestel about whether the tow hitch from Towlink has tow mode, and the short answer is no.
I remember asking Keith about there's some sort of a hoodie from the US that's that he thinks it's some sort of a software hack that he may be able to do to turn off that beeping in the Model Y. But yeah, that's all I know about that.
It might be maybe it's something we'll actually ask this question, because if you have a Model Y which in Australia is supported in tow mode because they are providing factory, service center fitted tow hitches, perhaps they can flick that switch in your car. So we'll have to ask that question and take that on notice, because that's certainly possible. Whereas the Model 3, Tesla has never officially offered Model 3 in a tow package, even though it's ADR'd to, is it 900 kilos or 1,000 kilos for the Model 3?
A ton with braking.
Yeah.
Unbraked 750, a ton with braked. Yep.
So we might ask that so that everyone doesn't have to individually ask Tesla. We'll ask them and get back to you next week.
And Harold, I'm not sure if it's changed, but I remember with the performance wheels, the performance was limited to 500 kilo unbraked. I'm not sure if that's still the case with the lower profile performance wheels.
Sorry, I thought I had a look, because everything's changed now. There used to be a different regulatory framework and used to go to a different website. I thought I saw that Model 3 now is symmetrical. So I think that might have gone. I think that might all be 1,000 kilos for the Model 3 braked and 100 unbraked or 750 or something like that. Yeah. So I think they've reunified the whole across the different models. But yeah, we'll get back to you, Eddie, next week with it. I mean, you could ring Tesla and ask them, but we'll try and get a definitive answer if they will actually, if they're prepared to do that for a Model Y. Or otherwise, if you really do want tow mode, if you just go to Tesla, I think that price is that'd be comparable to the Model 3 package. Is that how much?
Very similar. The Model 3 package is a little bit less, but not by much. Actually, a little bit more, I think. 2,250, I think, was the price. But that was supply only, I think, and about 2,550 fitted, something like that, from memory. Does that sound right, Joe? Is Joe still on? So I know Joe had
I'm here. Yeah, no, I don't remember the exact price, but I know that this Tesla offer is a lot less. So getting it on the Y is going to be a lot less than it cost us to get on the 3.
Yeah, cool. That is a pretty good price, and that is completely installed.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Is anyone else? Oh, just in case anyone has joined us and is willing to say hello, please do so. Just interrupt and say hello, or not. Or you also say hello through the chat. That's
My mate Gerard here has a question about ceramic paint or ceramic coating.
It's one of the suggestions for looking after the paint, because looking on the Facebook Tesla Y page, a lot of people saying don't go for the film, go for a ceramic.
Yep, that's
yeah.
right.
I'm going to get my negative thing in first because I've got an old Model X now, very old Model X, and it's done 220,000 kilometers, and it's never had any coating of any sort whatsoever. It's not even been polished ever, and all the stone chips I've got look exactly the same as the day they got applied to my car, because the skin is aluminium, and it's common to all the models. They're all aluminium skins, so they never corrode or rust or do anything. That doesn't bubble up or whatever. So yes, you'll get a stone chip, but it'll look the same as when it happened. So that's my little story. I'll throw it to someone who has got
You
PPF.
can't polish a turd, Harold. That's why yours isn't getting polished.
You know, Russell, I kind of resemble that remark. I really do. So over to someone who has got PPF, and please spruik its goodness.
Well, I think Russell's got far more reflection.
Harold's got the matte finish.
Oh, God.
Speaking of bald men, Nigel, you're a PPF proponent. Nigel Ferrier?
Yes. I've had my Model 3 that I've had for over 2.5 years now, and I've got 62 or 3,000 K on the clock. I just put PPF on the front half, which is the bonnet, the bumper, the wing mirrors, and the 2 wings on the front. And I've had a few stone chips and no marks on the paintwork at all. And
I actually don't understand. So is there a difference between PPF and ceramic?
Yeah. PPF is like a plastic film that gets stuck on. Ceramic is just a very thin chemical coating.
Okay, so and you're thinking of you want to get ceramic.
What do you reckon?
Let me just describe it more in more detail for you, Richard. So when I guess looked for mine first, I did a heap of research about what the pros and cons were with all of them, and realistically, the reason to choose it comes down to how you're going to use your car and how you're going to look after it, right? If you're never going to wash your car, none of these things are going to really matter too much about keeping the car like cleaner or anything. It's just going to get dirty, right? What the PPF is going to be let you do, if there's light abrasions on the car, the heat will heal itself, so you won't be so susceptible to minor scratches and whatnot from people maybe drawing your car. It might not make a scratch if the paint just scrapes across it, or if you're walking past the side of your car with like a belt or whatever and it scratches, it probably won't make an effect. With the ceramic coat, it allows the car to be, I guess, buys you a bit of time between washes. So if you have anything on the car like bird poo or some sort of debris that has a high acidity or whatnot, it protects the paintwork from that damage, but only lasts as long as, maybe a few days longer than what you normally get. So if you're never going to wash your car, like, I wouldn't worry about getting ceramic coat at all, because it's not going to help. It's just going to like burn through it. If you have a ceramic coat in your car, you really need to wash your car still like once a month to get the benefit out of it. So if you're not going to do that, then I wouldn't even worry about a ceramic coat, because it's not going to provide much benefit at all. If you're looking for to stop stone chips and light scratches, the PPF is the way to go. The cost of them is like a lot more to get PPF, but it's serving a different function. Like the ceramic coat's not going to protect you against stone chips or scratches. That's not what the design is. It's made to stop from that chemical damage from like, you know, environmental like stains and things.
Yeah, it also makes it a lot easier to clean with the ceramic coat and the PPF. I mean, I've put PPF on mine and I've had a few stone chips, and then the PPF, that plastic film has healed itself, so there's no marks on it. And where I hadn't got it, there is a one little chip somewhere. So I'm going to put my Y when I get it on the 12th of September. I'm still pissed off about that.
Some people also put ceramic coating on top of their PPF.
My whole car's vinyl wrap, so it's not exactly PPF. It's just all complete vinyl wrap, not burnt orange. And I've got ceramic coating on top of the vinyl wrap. And
I was about to say, yep.
Yeah, definitely not burnt orange. It's much, with the ceramic coating, it's much easier to keep it clean because the dirt just slides off with the ceramic coating. But with the vinyl wrap, definitely helps protect the paint. I've actually had the windscreen crack from rocks from trucks. So I've actually had the Model X windscreen replaced because I actually had a stone chip in it, which was pricey, but got covered with insurance.
I wash my car 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, I need some sort of coating on it.
So just a point of order, Damon was describing that he used the film to basically change the colour of his car, and he alleged that it was some sort of red colour. It is actually burnt orange. This is a clip from the national broadcaster directly, ABC News WA, on Saturday the 6th of March 2021. And you can see the skin tones of the person behind the car, and they are correct, and the grass is green, and his car is indeed burnt orange. Wonderful looking car there, Damon. I love the look. Very, very much worth the wrap on that one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, moving right along. So there you go. Look, go, Paul.
I was just going to say, I've had my car for 3 years, and I had ceramic coat, and then I've just had something that's a little bit between ceramic coat and PPF. So it's like it's a sprayed on film. It's a couple of microns thick, but yeah, you don't need PPF. That's friggin', $6 grand, $5-6 grand. I wouldn't worry about it. I get ceramic coat if you need it.
For the price they charge for PPF, I reckon probably cheaper to get your bumper repainted.
Yeah.
Or
that's what I was going to say. I got my bumper
$6,000 I got quoted for it.
Yeah.
It's probably, it's ridiculous. That's my opinion anyway.
So vinyl wrap, you could get that done, but the whole car color change, everything between 3 and 3.5, which is not PPF, it's vinyl wrap.
Yeah.
It's protecting the car almost as good as PPF. And you can have a complete color change, whatever you want. You can go chameleon, which color changes color in the light. If you want.
That prism one.
Does the vinyl wrap have the self-healing properties like the PPF?
Similar. You can see where it's actually kind of slight self-healing. Yeah. So
okay.
Another alternative.
Definitely helps versus abrasions and stuff, and yeah.
Richard, why don't you just get Gina to sponsor and put a Roy Hill logo on the side, and then you'll probably get covered in red dust, and you'll be set.
Yeah. Gerald just said you have to make it pink. Okay, you guys obviously haven't seen all of our heavy infrastructure that is painted pink.
Yeah, no, I just didn't know what to say, mate. I didn't want to offend you if you were. Your idea.
It's light red.
And also, there's a difference between ceramic coating, which tends to last a bit less than the PPF. So PPF should last, 5 to 7 years, guys? Is that about right?
Yeah, so when I got mine done, I get my car detailed every week from the same guy who put all my stuff together. And every few months, they wash it with a different soap that contains the same ceramic particles as what's in the actual ceramic coat. And anything
All
that's
right,
sort
so
of
they
been worn
reapply
down.
it.
Pardon me, Pete?
So they effectively reapply it every month.
No, not every month. Maybe every 3 or 4 months. They don't reapply it. When they put the soap on, there's the ceramic in the soap, and what he's describing is any areas where it might have like become a little bit coarse or whatever. It fills in those like small like microscopic divots and plumps it back up again. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but if you didn't do that, I'm guessing you'd probably have to reapply it every couple of years, I would think.
And something you can do, how much, just instantly, how much is ceramic coat installed on your car roughly?
I had the exact number because I had to put a thing together. Let me find it.
Mine was 1,400.
Mine was 700.
The whole car. That was the whole car. You know, the whole
And
car.
how much was yours, David?
700, and that included that month's special was for the 4 wheels included. Otherwise, that would be a little bit more for the 4 wheels, but that was included. 700.
So,
and
I've got a spreadsheet of every cost for my car since I bought it. Just because I do those sorts of things.
Of course, I'm not surprised.
So my my tinting was 1,090. The paint protection was 1,090.
What? Tinting how much?
I got all the windows and roof and everything done.
Okay. Yeah. Mine was 200. I suppose the ROC number. So.
And your
sorry, go. Sorry.
Your ceramic coat.
$1,090, 1,000.
Okay, cool.
1,089 actually.
So one alternative, if you're at all handy or you enjoy detailing your own car, is you can actually buy a ceramic coat kit to apply it yourself. But I mean, it takes. I know someone that did it, and it literally took him a day. It's 8 hours in a day.
You need a clay bar as well to get rid of
exactly. I was just going to say yes. You've got to clay bar it, and that's quite an arduous task, and you've got to do it carefully, obviously. And he did do it, but it did take 8 hours of his time. So if you get your $1,000 and divide by 8 hours, that's your hourly rate. And I guess in most cases, you really are saving money if you either enjoy doing that or you just want to economize, because there's no great mystery to it. It's not a highly skilled job. It's just something that's methodical.
How much can you buy the actual? Because I know there's different brands and stuff, right? So
yeah, how
much is you actually going to pay for the chemical itself as well?
I just don't know, Russell. I'd have to ask. I'm guessing it was less than $200.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I really don't know. It's of that order of magnitude, approximately.
Yeah. So you're saving yourself, like about $1,000, give or take.
Which is your labour. So basically, effectively, whichever shop is selling it to you is earning $100 an hour, and that's not unreasonable for a professional business that has to provide warranties and
who's going to actually do a good job of it as well, not a half-assed job like a first timer.
Yeah.
Who's putting too much on and runs out before the end.
Like the first ceramic coat I got, that was, I think, only guaranteed a couple of years, but the one I just got done not that long ago is a 5-year warranty. So yeah, so you get what you pay for as well.
Yeah,
sorry, go.
Oh, sorry, go. Yeah. I DIY'd 2 cars about 5 years ago, and it cost me about $150. But I was never. It kind of worked, but I was never 100% sure it was a professional job. So, yeah, I wouldn't do it again myself.
Oh, that's a shame, Ken, because you could probably get a whole list of people that would be prepared to come to your place and watch you apply it lovingly to our cars.
In Calbarry, yeah.
Oh, it's worth the trip, mate. We've got good charging up that way now. So we've got John Edwards's Jurien Bay charger at the Ampol, and we've got Tokwa's DC charger at Jarrow. So it's all good.
So I got mine here. This is the one I got, and it says in the manual it's a 5-year warranty for my one, for the ceramic protection. If installed by a person that's good at what they do, not just a random, I guess.
Yeah.
Can you put it up again?
Harold. Yes, I know. That's why I just went. Oh, but I welcome Zen. Please say hello to everyone and tell us about your car.
Hey all, how's it going?
Good, good, thanks.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt that conversation regarding wraps and PPF. Yeah, so my car, which I don't have yet, is Model 3 Performance. It's arriving on the 13th of September. I think I ordered it in February, so it's been a while.
Yep.
Same story for everyone. What else? New Tesla owner. Don't know a great deal, but I did write down a few questions that I had. I was hoping that I could rattle them off and you guys could help me out.
Absolutely, shoot. In fact, before you do that, just for a moment, let me just bring up, hopefully this is going to work, because I have got a photo of your car.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Cool.
I've got a photo of everyone's car that's coming.
Where is my car?
Okay.
Dude, where's my car?
I don't know where your car is. Hey, dude, where's my car? Let me just get back to this one. So your car is, and I'm stalling because I'm super slow. There it is. Here. It's one of these. So which color have you got?
Oh, it's one of those, yeah. I think it's probably one of those white ones there.
Probably one of those poverty pearl white ones.
Yeah, probably.
Hey,
So
pearl white's awesome.
Actually, what is it? It's a performance, so it'll have dark rims. So it could be that one. What's the color? What's the interior color?
Black.
Black. So it could be that one right there, or it could be that one, or it could be that one,
or that one, or that one. I want that one.
Anyway,
yeah, I saw all those photos come through on the site. It's great. Okay, so a couple of questions, and I'll just go through all the questions, and then maybe we can just tick them off in order. So the first question I had was around conversations that I've read around having a hard drive for recording the Sentry mode, and upgrading that or using the existing one. I don't know if it comes with the existing one, etc. One question.
yeah, okay. Well, hold on there. We might as well just do these one at a time.
Yeah. Okay.
So obviously,
Samsung
have
SSD.
Tesla have a built-in one. Bear in mind, it sort of sits like a shag on a rock. It actually dangles upside down like a bat, and if you put anything bulky in your glove box, you're in danger of actually snapping it off. I just don't know why Tesla even do it. Yeah, it's in the glove box, and it's about 1.5 inches long, and it pokes downwards from the roof of the glove box. So Paul, you have an opinion about what to put in?
Yeah, a Samsung SSD. That's it. No issues, because I went through USB drives and all the different stuff. I've had that for a couple of years, and there's been no issue.
And
I think
does it need to be particularly large? Like we're talking a terabyte here, or
no? Probably get a 64 gig one. I was stupid. I got like a 500 gig one, but you're never going to use that.
I've got a 120 and it lasts for ages. You know,
it lasts ages.
I've got a 500 actually. Here it is.
Yeah, not the same way.
I've just pulled it out of the car to copy stuff off, and I haven't taken it out for 4 months, and it still had a heap of room on there.
Yeah.
How technical are you, Zen? Are you like quite IT savvy or not?
Yes.
Okay, you can set up a Raspberry Pi to automatically upload your videos to your NAS or something when you drive into your garage. That's what I do. So you have a small drive in there, and it automatically just uploads them all, and then you can go through them on your NAS rather than having to open your glove box out and pull them off all the time.
Do you have is there a package for a QNAP for that at all, or is that something you wrote?
Yeah, no, mine goes, well, it's just mine goes to a QNAP. Yeah, you can do it through. I got it off someone wrote some code for it off just a website I found. I think it was even on GitHub or something. I found it.
Yeah.
Cool.
One thing that's worked for me is a micro SDXC card with an adapter. The most the car will accept and format is 400 gig. Anything larger and it won't accept it. But you got to get one of those high endurance, those extreme ones that are basically designed dash cams, because you've got effectively 4 streams of video going in at the same time.
Yeah, it kills everything else.
It gets overwritten continually, so it does chew through the read-write cycles.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so, yep.
You
Next
should
question.
get a 128 gigabyte with your car, man, and that's all I run with, and it goes for 8. So maybe just try that first before spending money on something else.
Yeah. That's good advice, actually. Yep.
The 128
Appreciate that.
now, honestly, like it goes for a fair while, man. You'll see when you get your car.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I suppose these are all things that I would work out when I do get the car, but I thought I would just take the opportunity to ask, and also introduce myself for later on. So
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing you should get used to doing is, I mean, look, I'm guilty of it myself. I'll see something quirky on the road or some idiot that didn't indicate when changing lanes or whatever, and you just hit the dash cam button, or if you honk your horn and you set your menu up for it, it will record automatically as well. But you should sort of get to that spring cleaning sort of mode of, well, if you've had the clip on your car for a few weeks and you haven't done anything with it, you should just delete it to make room. And just every now and then, if you're charging or watching a YouTube video, can't do it then. But if you're sitting in your car, I don't know, having lunch or something, just go through the clips and just delete the ones that aren't interesting anymore, and that'll free up a lot of space.
And you can do that in the car, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah,
absolutely. And in fact, the car's the easiest because it actually has a little red a dot where if it was if it was a Sentry mode event, so that was where the car detects someone coming close or bumping your car or whatever, it'll show a little red dot it's about a 5-minute clip, I think, roughly,
10 minutes.
Depends, or 10 minutes. And it'll show a dot where that point of interest was. Yeah. And then you can sort of like scrub right through to it. If you download it to a computer, you have to look at the whole clip or infer that it was probably a certain part of the clip where an event happened, because you lose that information. Yeah, I mean, it's actually still there in a file. You can extract it.
You can watch it at faster speeds in your computer. You can't. I don't know why there's not like a speed up function on the car. A double speed. Fucking pain.
Also, since you've got a performance like mine, you've actually got like a track mode section now. That was in the dash cam thing. So before it was just, what was it? Sentry. What is it? So it's like all Sentry dash cam, and now you've got track as well. So you can, when you do a track run, you can actually save that on your run. So that's pretty cool.
Does it save statistics like G-forces and speed and things like that?
I haven't done
just the footage.
I didn't have that since the last track run I did. So, and you know, I'm a good boy out and about. So,
of course,
mostly.
That's bullshit. You're driving performance.
Yeah, today someone was driving like, you know, when you get people, I don't know why, I get people that go, oh, it's a Tesla, and then they pull up and they'll go in front of you and then they slow down, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus. So you just hop in the other lane and just go around them, sort of stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Oh, actually, anyway, Lee has put in the chat probably the GitHub location for this app.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, for the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
So actually, what I'll do is I'll just open this just for the benefit of people on YouTube, and put it up there, so you can actually see that. If you're on YouTube, just pause and note that down. And I presume that, Lee, that's the one that works on just a standard Pi?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yeah, I'm going to set up for myself as of yet because I'm still waiting for my car, but I'm going to do it in the next week or so. So it should be fine.
That's the one that I've got. That's what I use to do mine.
Do you have much corruption on yours, Russell? Like, do you have to with the SD card, or you've got to run it on SSD, or what have you done with it?
Yeah, mine's running on SSD. I bought an SSD and plugged it in before I did the Raspberry Pi thing. So I just left it. Yeah, it's just more convenient because sitting in front of the car, like, I know it's simple and stuff to press play, but it's like it's still glitchy when you do it and you try to fast forward and it jumps back to where it was, and it's just
Yep.
That does my head in, especially if you're sitting at the, like, if you park in front of like a ticket machine or something, you get about 300 bloody like Sentry events when you get back to your car. So on the card, you can't select a number of videos to delete. You can do all of them or one of them at a time. There's no like tick box. So it just makes it much easier to do it on your car and just wipe the whole thing all the time.
Oh, I don't know. When you have to sit and wait for the wife for shopping or something or other, it passes the time.
It's therapeutic.
Yes, it is. Especially flicking around all the 4 cameras. It's quite good.
Especially if you're at carrying up and you've got no Wi-Fi.
Oh, well,
that's all you got.
Well, I just plug in and then go have something to eat. That's what I do. That's what carrying up's run is. Oh, man, I'm less than 2,000 kilometers left on my supercharge credits now.
Oh my god!
Oh, I mean, the other thing you can do if you're looking for content to lull you while you're in your car, there is an awesome YouTube channel called youtube.com/Tokwa, and there are more than 100 awesome videos. That it just goes on with literally many hundreds of hours of amazing content. So
Elon Musk himself is subscribed to it.
Absolutely. There's actually 180 subscribers, but Elon Musk is a silent subscription.
Cool. Yeah, subscribe. It's good. It's good.
Like and subscribe.
Good background while you're working.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Paul, you just mentioned before that you still got some free supercharge kilometers left.
Yeah.
Did mine all expired? Like I had about, I think I had like 3,500 or something that I got.
Yeah.
But mine expired all earlier this year. How did yours last so long?
Because my first lot, the 2,500 expired, but then the last lot, 4,000 or something, I got like people used my code, and then it was like you know how it's every 6 months it was sort of going.
Oh yeah.
So then I got like 4 people in quick succession sort of stuff. So it sort of pushed it all out to next year. And then they got rid of it.
Mine expiring in October.
I got abused by 3 people.
Batch.
So what?
My last batch expires in October, so I think it's different for everyone depending on when.
Mine expires in November, and I've got
under June next year
now.
So if you get a new Model Y, can you use those supercharger Ks with the Model Y?
No, I think it was
on the same account.
September 18th last year, they stopped it, so you couldn't use codes.
No. Sorry, no. If you've got supercharger Ks left, can you use them on a second car or a third car?
Can you?
Yes, you can. Yeah, you definitely.
Yes, Obama. How do you do that?
Okay, so Paul, did you buy your wife's car on her own account or on your account?
No, on her account, and
Okay,
it's already paid for, and the bastards are not giving my car. Anyway, sorry, go.
So perhaps the way and when do your points run out? Your Ks?
June. It'll be fine. I'll do supercharged credits.
Okay, cool. Because I was going to say what you could do if you militantly wanted to take up those points and using your wife's car was the easiest way to do that, is you basically transfer her car to your account.
Oh, yeah. Nah,
and then
it'll be fine. I go now and again. I'll go down a bus with him and take my uncle out for lunch, and I'll use the superchargers just because. And
yeah, exactly.
I've got Karen up just over the next suburb over, so if worse comes to worse, I won't charge it for a few months. Trust me, these ones I'm going to use all of them. So.
That's right, they're yours because you didn't pay for them.
No. Well, I've probably sold about 40 cars, so that couple of $100 is worth it.
Exactly.
Crazy, isn't it?
Cool.
Anyway.
So, Chris very kindly said that those Tokwa Ask Us Anything videos are also good for putting your kids to bed. I thought it was actually putting your kids to sleep, but that's not legal to do these days. So, bed is good enough.
You guys happy for the next question?
Yes,
Yeah.
You just keep rolling the questions in,
I think,
there's a few.
If you do use those videos for kids, you might actually run into issues with child protection. Also, there's early onset PTSD as well that you need to look out for. So that's the things to just be aware of. So there should be some sort of warning at the start, Harold, as well.
They're still being played at Guantanamo Bay, though, on a regular basis. In the waterboarding section, I think. So.
Well, they don't need to waterboard now. They just play us, and then
they just
and they go, "Yes, I'll tell you everything."
Yeah, they speak very quickly before we have to play another episode. So.
Apparently, the reason this week when Twitter came out with that allegation about how dodgy it was because they threatened him to watch one of our podcasts. That's why he just spilled the beans at Twitter.
That's right.
It was
That's
Elon's
right.
master plan. He's like, "Yep, this is how we're going to crack him, boys." Send in Topper, episode 100, 4 hours.
4 hours, bigger than Ben-Hur. Absolutely bigger than Ben-Hur.
Should we let the man ask his question?
Yes, let's go, Zen.
Well, we can't
let's
see
go.
him, so we don't know him.
Yes, that's right.
I'm just sitting here patiently.
It's the black screen.
Okay, I'm going to go through a few because I don't think we'll get through them all at this pace. But you mentioned data and Wi-Fi. Obviously, I can connect it to my Wi-Fi at home. I get that, but does it come with data? Do I need an additional Telstra plan? What's the deal there?
No, 1 month. In fact, the car will always have data for its own purposes for, is it 8 years, Pete?
Yes.
They changed it. It used to be forever, but now it's 8 years. So
that's long enough.
For all intents and purposes, 8 years, but you will get what's called premium connectivity for 1 month. And then Tesla will invite you to pay $10 a month.
$9.90.
Yeah.
$9.90 per month. And what that gets you is the ability to see the aerial photo visualization of the maps. It also shows you in graphical format where there's traffic congestion. But don't worry, if you are navigating to somewhere and you didn't have premium connectivity, the maps would still use that congestion data and reroute you to a more favorable route.
Is that the only function of that premium connectivity?
No, you watch your videos, Netflix, and all that.
Yes, but you can do that. Yeah, that's why
Spotify.
But you can actually, can't you use most of those functions if you hotspot off your phone through Wi-Fi?
I think you can at the moment, but I'm not sure later. You know how things changed.
With Spotify, you get to use the car's account if you haven't got a Spotify account. So you get that included, a Spotify for your car. Also, we know that Harold's a big fan of this one, but karaoke as well is only available with premium connectivity. I think I actually flew to China and picked up one of those Chinese microphones as well because it's committed. So that's a thing. If you're not already a Spotify account holder, it could be useful to have that function. But otherwise, hotspotting from your phone will work fine.
Okay.
Now, you know Tesla.
Yeah, the premium connectivity, if you hotspot through your phone, you won't get the live traffic visualizations or the satellite view maps hotspot, because you can run the car hotspotted through your phone and get a few other things, but you won't get those two things, live traffic visualizations and the satellite view maps.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to pay for it.
Let's just think of it as $120 a year or $1,200 for 10 years of service.
Yeah, I've kind of already moved on based on that.
Yeah, exactly. Go Zen. What next one?
Okay, so going on holidays for 2-3 weeks. Is it a case of just leaving the car in the garage plugged in on Sentry mode or whatever? Does it need to be on Sentry mode?
Oh, no. Okay, so if you've got a secure garage and it truly is secure and you're not concerned about someone breaking into your garage and doing some damage to your car, turn Sentry mode off because basically it uses, it's about 250 watts of energy, of power that it uses continually in Sentry mode. And over a 24-hour period, that's 6 kilowatt hours. And that's
almost 10% of your performance battery.
It's about $1.80 a day that it's costing you. which is relatively, yeah, it's not trivial. It's
So
not
that's
trivial.
something then you would activate Sentry mode pretty much only when you're out and about in the car and getting out and getting in.
Yes. So there is a setting in your car that you can exclude home. You can also exclude work if you've entered in home and work as addresses, because there are two favorites. Sorry, there are two main shortcuts, which is home and work. And then you can also exclude favorites. So you could also have favorite locations on the map set in your car, and you can tell Sentry mode to exclude favorites as well, or work or home.
Yep. Okay.
So,
and then Sentry mode activates normally. Does it activate when you get in the car, or does it activate?
No. So Sentry is when the car's locked. When the car's locked and you're away from it, that's when it activates.
And does it automatically, or I have to press a button every time I get out?
No. You just once you're out of Bluetooth range from your phone, if you're using a phone key, which you probably will be.
You need to turn it on though. You got to go in your settings and tell it to turn on.
Yes.
Because in the actual screen, there's a setting for it.
Okay.
So if you want to switch it off all the time, and every now and again you want to switch it on, you can go on your phone and just turn it on the odd occasion you want to turn it on. Otherwise, most people just have it always turned on, and the odd occasion they want to turn it off, they just go on the app and switch it off.
Yep. No, that sounds like a good approach.
Zen, is yours a performance, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, what you want to do if you're going to be going away for 3 weeks is maybe set the charging rates to 50% and just leave it plugged in, or maybe 60% just in case your power goes out or something. But that's a NCA nickel, cobalt, aluminium battery, and that likes to be at 50%, over long periods of time. So,
okay, but otherwise normally to 80%, right?
Or 90
daily, 80% daily use,
or 90%. So Elon Musk has actually tweeted out and said that he's comfortable with those cars being at 90%. And as a data point, again, my car's done 220,000 Ks. That's about 15 years of West Australia's average annual use. And my battery's probably degraded about 10%. And that's militantly been charged at 90% all the time. So I've never had it below 90%. And I've actually done quite a few 100% on road trips and things like that. And that's after 220,000 kilometers. It's perfectly fine using the older chemistry battery. So whatever you're comfortable with, 80, 90%, both of those numbers are good.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the next one I have is roadside assistance. I know it's included. Don't really understand the service. The term T's and C's are a bit vague. Experience with getting flats, because what I'm understanding is there's also no spare.
Yeah, so there's no spare.
Is it an RAC call out, the same as my normal RAC roadside insurance, or?
So with roadside assistance, there's a thing on the screen that you can just tap. Is it on software? Anyway, it doesn't.
No, there's actually an app now, Paul. So
it's under you. It's under. Yeah, that's right.
In the app, is it?
Just updated.
So there's actually
under your app. Yeah, under your
there's
app,
actually a roadside. Yeah.
Anyway, so the for a flat, it's 80 Ks from the center city. So I have RAC for your long distance and that sort of stuff. And there's no spare. And what they'll do if you get a flat is they'll come out, they'll lend you one, and then you've got to go get the one fixed, and then give the loaned one back to Tesla, and then they'll give it to the place.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And in all likelihood, you're not going to. You're unlikely to get a catastrophic flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the time you'll just get a slow leak. You'll get a tech screw or a nail or something like that.
Just drive to the thing. Yep. No dramas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if I put it in the garage, I'll just pump it up myself and drive it to the place.
Exactly. Now, if you are on a road trip, of course, and you're a member of TOCWA, and that costs a whole $20, you can then borrow a spare tyre for a road trip.
Free of charge.
For free of charge.
Okay. Where are you putting the tyre? Just in the boot?
Oh yes, yeah. So we've got you've got from memory you've got a performance. So the only tire we can actually offer you is the modern spare tire kit, and that basically is a skinny spare in a bag that has the wheel brace, jack, everything included in the one kit and caboodle. So you can borrow that for road trips. If you wanted to actually buy it yourself, it costs about $850 to $900 landed in Australia because the company is modernspare.com. So, and in fact, Chris has just put the link in the chat.
But as a member of TOCWA, you have access to the special number, don't you, Harold?
Oh yeah, that's right. So as you'll see, this is $360 to $480, but that's US. And then there is also freight, and that's where once you convert that to to Australian dollars, it lands at roughly between $800 and $900. But as you can see, you've got the wheel brace. What is that? I thought that was a wheel brace. Anyway, you've got the jack, caravan jack, and the spare, all in like a very convenient carry bag.
Yep, no dramas. I'll probably just borrow yours.
You need to buy the pucks as well. They're like $20 off AliExpress.
Yeah, so the puck. I'll just have to open the puck web page.
Do you give pucks out too with the thing, or do people supply their own, Harold?
Oh, thank you. I was just looking at the time. Oh,
really?
Okay.
I just got a set in the back of my car that I was leaving there.
Haven't really
$20, I mean,
thought of that, to be honest. Yes. I've got Model 3 and Model S and Model X pucks, which are completely different. For anyone that doesn't know, they look like this. Oh, well, these are just from Tessera's, which are out of stock, but Teslas also do them. Yeah. And it basically, behind your front wheel arch and in front of your rear wheel arch, you've got like a little locating hole which you put the nipple of this puck in, and that then gives you a target to put your jack under. So it guarantees you're not going to be jacking up the battery pack or jacking up the car via the battery pack, which would obviously damage it or potentially damage it. But these pucks, yeah, they're about, I forget what it was now, $20 each or something, or less than that, I think. No, that was a set of 4,
like
sorry.
$8.95.
Yeah.
Nigel was making them on his laser printer at Men's Shed for cheap, wasn't he?
No, his 3D printer. Yeah.
Yeah, his 3D printer. Not anymore.
Harris makes them as well on his 3D printer.
Oh, right, yeah.
Not the packs, sorry, Peter, did you want to chime in? So you've 3D printed like looking for him. Where is he there? I thought he was there only a minute ago. Anyway, what he does is he's 3D print. So on that jack can be fairly high, and once you put that puck in, there isn't much space between the road and the bottom of the car. So he's angle grinded off the top of that jack and has 3D printed like a
different head, like a faceplate for it or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It won't be a problem on the Model Y though, but yeah, Model 3 it definitely gets a bit tight.
Yeah.
Especially you got a flat tire as well.
Model Y yet?
Say again?
Nigel, have anyone got their Model Y yet? I missed the first part. I was running late.
I think the consensus was that a couple of people were getting theirs at 9:30 on Monday, which is pretty cool. That's pretty early on in the list, which is good.
Yeah, right. Who's getting it at 9:30?
I think Andrew was, and someone else. Gareth. Yes. Andrew and Gareth, and then someone else at 1:30. Oh, that was Russell. Russell.
Yeah, Russell.
So we're all coming to Russell's place to have a look, or Andrew's
Monday
place, or
night.
Gareth's place, Monday night, to do bog laps
Very
in the
much
Y.
left on the tyres, mate, by midday.
Yeah, so you'll be in snow and mud mode, or whatever it is, to get a little bit of wheelchair happening. Awesome. So you'll be checking it into, or booking it into Tyre Power to get a new set of tyres.
No, I've pre-booked. I've already called McCarthy's. They've got me in for Tuesday. To
Actually, what you could do is you could get one of these. Just hang on. I just got to unconnect for a sec. You could give these a whirl. Oops.
Oh yeah, how much they cost you?
Oh, I don't remember, Russell. It's all a blur, mate. When you're clicking stuff, you just go buy it now. You know.
I guess
If you've got to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it, mate.
If it falls out of the back of your pocket, you don't notice it. It doesn't mean nothing to you.
That's right. I mean, look, we're just, we're Capo Tesla owners, so
Nice.
if you don't pay 10% of the value of the car in accessories, well, it's just not worth having the car, isn't it?
What have you bought,
What
Pete?
the hell is that, Pete?
Yeah.
So that's the ultimate slimline jack. And,
Wow. Hang on. Let me just wait. Let me spotlight you. That's awesome.
And where do you use that, Pete? Is that in the bedroom? Get your cup of tea a bit higher, is it?
Wow, that's really cool.
But yeah, you just wind it up, and it's doesn't go quite high enough to raise the whole car, but you can. I just put a little timber block under it, and the timber block's only about half an inch tall, but that's enough to lift the whole car up. But it doesn't matter how flat the tire is, or whether you're on an angle off road or whatever, you'll always be able to get this under it.
So what's it like? How do you you're turning it with your hand at the moment. How do you turn it when it's
okay.
Under load?
When it's on the road, like, you got a ratchet, right? Gotcha.
Yeah, when it's under load.
Yeah, but you can't. You can't do that because you got ground in the way. But you got to do it half. Yeah. You got to do it up like that. Yes. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's just a socket.
Or
you can put that socket on a drill.
So you can't put on the drill. No, you can't, Pete, because there's a ground in the way. There's a dirt underneath where your hand is dirt, mate.
You can. I got a drill bit that's about that long, and you can sort of do it on a
Angle
slight angle. You can get it in, but mine's not completely on the ground because I put it on a block. Actually, I'll get the block and show you how tall it is so you can see. Give me 1 second.
Oh, so you put the block under the jack. That's good thinking.
I think he
Very
puts his
good.
platform shoes under it.
This is old school. Alex has been doing this in Mandurah for years. Putting cars on blocks.
Well, you put a brick. Don't you get one of your bricks?
Alex, tell them about what you do in Mandurah.
Yeah.
This is just so old school.
Right. Yeah. So there's the block of wood. Look at that.
Actually, hang on. Let me get rid of the background because
What's that? 3B1. That's a bit of pine joist.
Form ply is the best. A sheet of form ply. You can get it on an old building site.
Welcome to Bunnings World. If you've just joined us,
look at that. Nice.
27, the fine checkout.
Yes. So which old number is this? How much did that cost, Pete?
Yeah. Where's that from, Pete?
If you have to ask that question, you can't afford it, Harold.
That looks bloody expensive. And it looks like it's from Germany or something.
That cream couches is easy to clean as the white seats.
That looks really expensive.
It's it's made in the US, so it's not cheap. And
is it titanium?
That's
platinum. No, it's aluminium.
Yeah, it looks like Ellie.
Sort of platinum.
But
no, it's Inconel.
The reason why they call it fright is because that's exactly what you get when you put them out.
When you pay the
So how much is it? Is it $300?
I honestly can't remember, but it was it was very expensive, but I honestly can't remember. But it would have been.
What's it called?
Obviously, the wife is obviously the wife is nearby, and he can't.
Oh, you and I said the same thing.
Can't remember. The wife is nearby. Can't remember. Got no idea.
Didn't Pete use Harold's credit card?
What synergy, girl?
So what's it called? What's it called, Pete? What's the jack called?
It's called a low pro jack. So
LOPRO, low pro.
Oh, there you go.
Right there.
Low pro jack.
Yeah, yep. Low.
LO-PRO.
Yeah.
I see low pro.
This is what I've made up for it. So even if it is on the ground, you can on an angle, you can actually get the drill to it.
You can actually get a piece that bends, Pete.
Oh yeah,
you built one that bends, so you can actually do a 90-degree.
I've got a 90 degree drill bit.
Yeah, you can. Oh,
you
absolutely
attach it to it, and then
So I found low pro, and it's
that's not the same one, Harold, that Pete's got. I'd like to speak on Pete's behalf. Pete's got the red dot special one.
This was probably suitable for Pete, because this is low pro that's used for the treatment of diarrhea. I think that's probably a perfect.
Consult your doctor.
I think that's perfect.
Oh no.
So Richard Chapman, where is he? Is he in Casuarina tonight? Is he back in jail? He's got his striped shirt on. He might be back as an inmate somewhere. Where are you, Chapman? We can't hear you. Where are you? Hello.
Oh, we're up on site.
Oh, okay. How you going? Oh, I thought you might have been at a Harley convention or something. I wasn't sure.
Hardly.
Cool.
Guys, I'll just jump in quickly. I just got one more question.
Go.
Cool. Okay, so the app itself for the car and access to the car and 2 drivers. So can I have 2 drivers on one app, or is it one app per driver per phone? How's that go? Ideally, one app per person.
Any which way you like, Sen, and even with your key card, so you can have one key card for numerous cars, or you can have 2 or as many key cards for the one car. You can do it, and you can do the same with the apps. So you can set it up and configure it any way that suits you best.
Because then, if for your significant other, you can just install it's the same app, and just put in your credentials, your Tesla account credentials, in any number of phones or phone apps,
and that'll access the car.
Yep. But if eventually, because you're a wise man, and you'll eventually end up having being a 2 Tesla family, you can then either have the 2 Teslas on the one account, and again that just works, and you basically flick. You sort of swipe left or right for which Tesla you want to address or control. Yep. But you could also have them on 2 separate Tesla accounts. And then you can actually, in your Tesla app, you can invite someone. So you basically enter in someone's email address, and provided that they have their own Tesla account, they'll get you can send them a link via text, and they can then accept it. And then they will be a nominated driver that has full control of that car via their account. So
is that the better way to go for a significant other then? So is that a better way to set it up versus having my login details on the same app, which would be essentially the same person logged in on 2 apps?
Doesn't matter. It makes no difference, mate. You can just do that because
settings of the car in any way.
No, not at all, because you have profiles. No. So
okay.
So you can set there is the app, which is what you can do with the app to control the car, but you also set up various phone keys, which uses the Bluetooth function of the phone as an unlocking device. So then that can be attached to a profile, and you can set any number of profiles, and that profile has all your seat settings, wing mirror settings. I think it might even pull aircon settings as well.
I would recommend doing the 2 accounts. So that's what I've done with my wife. And the reason being is otherwise I've got to log into her account and use my password. And if she ever logs out or whatever, she's got to give me a call to use my password to log into the car. if she sets her own account up on her phone, she can use her own password and get back into it. Also, if you set valet mode up and you don't use a PIN code, you have to disable it either with a password on the screen or using your phone to unlock it. So if you haven't got your phone with you and you need to disable valet mode without a PIN, you need an account holder's credentials to unlock it as well. So if you're unavailable, then she might be stuck.
Yeah, but Russell, wouldn't it be simpler if she just put his email address and password as the credential?
Yeah, my wife hasn't got my password.
Right. Well, that's
because she probably wouldn't remember it. It's like 14 digits and 16
No,
numbers.
but yeah, but when it's in your phone app, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. Sometimes you have to re-enter it. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So she uses her one, and
she could get locked out of. She could get locked out of her app essentially, with not knowing the password.
Yeah.
And therefore not be able to access the car.
Well, you could with a key card. That's
with a key card, but not with the phone. Yeah.
Not with the phone. Yeah, but it's always a good thing to keep the key card with you, irrespective.
Yeah.
Because your phone could run out of battery, or something might happen which makes your phone key not work. It's rare, but it's possible. So always carrying the phone, the key card with you is
that's fine. I understand that. I think in my mind I had it where my phone opened the car as well as changed the settings to what I would want or what I've saved. And then her phone would open the car and change them to her settings.
It will. But that's her phone as a key, not her phone as a login on an app.
Yeah.
Although you need to have the
separate
Tesla
completely.
app.
So they're not separate. So you've got to have the app, but the actual unlocking of the car is not through the app, is what
it's
you're
the
saying.
Bluetooth of the phone.
It's the Bluetooth,
the account.
And you registered that in the car?
Yeah.
Yes. So you go into, actually I've got this on
So
PowerPoint.
Harold, while you're looking, I'll just add to that for Zen is that if you both, say you and your wife both have your phone and then you have your app, and then say you're both getting into the car, one of you, presumably whoever will drive it more, will probably set your profile up in the car as the primary. And sometimes if that's the case, like sometimes I'll get in the car with the husband, and because I'm the primary, even though he's the one who'll be driving, and it might pick up my phone and then automatically adjust the seat on the driver's side to my profile. And then he's like 6 foot and then has to go in and press the button to change it to his profile before he gets in as well. So that's the only thing with like having the apps on two phones, because one will be set as a primary with the car.
Yeah, okay.
What do rental companies do when they rent out? They just give you the card, or do they?
I'd imagine the card.
Yeah, the card.
So they don't add you as an additional driver, so then you can have it on the app.
I think they are getting towards that, Damon, Hertz in particular, which is part of the push to get the cloud-based profiles. So you could, if you regularly rent a Tesla or have access to multiple Teslas, you want all of your settings to follow you as you go along. So that is something that they're doing. That setting is actually under locks now. Apologies, this is not quite the exact format. This is an older user interface that I had these screen captures done on, or just photos really. But you can see here, you've got key cards, which always, you always have to have a key card learnt into the car. But you can press the add button, and when you do so, it gives you the option of adding a key card or a phone key, which is a mobile phone as a key. And then you just go through the instructions on what it says to do, which is via your Tesla app. So you do need a Tesla app on your phone to do that.
Zen, when you do your setup as well, just on Jackie's point before around the profiles, it will also pay to create a profile. This is like, I guess, a hot tip, but to create a guest's profile as well, because what happens is if someone wants to have a test drive of your car and you want to show your mates or whatever, when they jump in there, it's going to have your profile. And as soon as they get in, they'll change the seat position and it saves automatically. It doesn't give you an option not to save it. It just saves. So being able to have a guest one on there means when there's someone different gets in the car, You just click guest, and they can do whatever they want to the seat and the steering wheel, and it won't affect your primary setting position. So it's just a little like tip, I suppose. It doesn't matter if you're not that worried, but it's a pain when you see
that's
a
fair.
fraction different.
Yeah, that's a good one. So just to recap then quickly for me, so I'm going to be I'll be set as primary driver. Mrs. will be set as secondary driver, and then there's a third account, which is a guest account, which I'm assuming is just registered to my access.
No, it's not registered to anyone's access. It'll just be on there.
Oh, it's just on there. That's just on the screen.
So see how you see profile here? That would normally be your name, or whichever, it's the name of whatever profile is active. And then when you tap on that, there'll be a list underneath. I don't know why this isn't actually, I haven't captured that.
They're not there now anyway, Harold. It's a different spot now.
Oh, they are. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. So apologies that it's in a different spot, but the principle's
navigation.
The principle's the same. That when you tap on it, you'll then be presented with a list of alternatives, and it can be well as long as you like. So some people do things like if you want to like have a bit of a snooze or just like you're chilling out, you could have one where the seat goes fully in the horizontal position, and the steering wheel gets out of the way, and just call that, I don't know, chill or rest
Sleeping.
or
Sleeping
or something.
You can also
call that
maybe
69 mode.
hitchhiker. Call it hitchhiker. It's easy to remember.
Yes, and you can use it for things like if you prefer your display in certain ways or whatever, you can also just get it to flip certain things. So you can have any number of profile names, but you can link a particular profile to any one of the keys. So when you go into
Harold, the number of profiles is limited. I can't remember if it's 8 or 10, but it's quite a few. 10. Okay, thanks, Paul. But there is one profile which is sort of saved in there when you first get the car. It's called Easy Entry. And what you can do is as soon as you put the car into park, it will automatically adjust your steering wheel position and your seating position to whatever you've set under Easy Entry. And that's quite convenient, especially in the Model 3, to get in and out. And then as soon as you put it into drive, you go back into your driving position.
Very cool. And there's also valet mode that goes in there as well.
Oh, yeah, valet. Yep.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. I think I had one more question. Yeah, I do. The last question I had was, is there a standard list or write-up from anyone that anybody knows about as a pre-pickup list? Obviously, there's enough horror stories online about bad build quality, et cetera, et cetera. If I was going to buy a brand new car or a second-hand car, I know what I'd normally be looking for.
Isn't there one on the top of the website?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah, if you look, if it's got 4 wheels and 4 doors, you get to drive away, mate. Pretty much at the moment. It's the stories you might be hearing are based on, I guess,
bullshit.
The yesteryear stuff.
So you're not looking for like misalignment of panels, seals for water.
Yeah, that's fine.
But my car's 3 years old, and I've had no issue. I didn't have any of those issues.
Yeah, I'm not expecting to have any issues, but at the same time, I'm also planning on looking at the car before leaving the car yard after dropping 100K.
Yeah, so you don't need to.
Tesla will.
Hang on. Let's just let Russell go, Russell, and then you, Paul. Yep.
Yeah, so then the pickup experience is going to be quite quick. If you want it to be longer, I guess you're more than welcome to. They'll be happy to, talk you around and whatnot. But generally, it's quite a fast experience. And unless there's something gapingly obvious, like there's a huge scratch down the side of the car, or I don't know, the door's fallen off or something, it's very rare that the car will not leave the car yard that day. I think you've got is it 1,000 kilometers or a couple of months or something?
There is no hard and fast rule, but it is roughly a few hundred kilometers. So if you go driving in the country and you get a stone chip after 200 kilometers, you can't say, hang on, there was a stone chip in my paintwork. But if you've only been really going around town and haven't really been, driving outside the city much, then it's, roughly 500 to 1,000 kilometers.
But things like
but it's not it's on a
panel
case by case.
alignments, like the things for your, I don't know, like light alignments and whatnot, those sorts of things aren't going to be affected by driving around. So rather than trying to rush the process in the delivery center itself, take a quick look around, make sure you're reasonably happy with what's there. And then when you leave and get it home, then spend the, you know, hour or 2 hours you want to do and go through with a fine tooth comb and make sure it's all perfect.
So I got
You
my.
will be asked.
I got my
Hang on, one at a
rear
time. So
window.
let Damon go. So, yeah, go, Damon.
I got
And
my
then Paul.
rear
Sorry, and then
changed
Paul.
out. My rear quarter window here was misaligned a little, that I'm pointing out on the vehicle. I got changed. That changed out under warranty 6 months after I owned the car, and yes, 6 months later they changed out, no cost to me, just because it was misaligned about 5 mil that stuck out.
Okay, go, Paul.
What I did was get the phone out, go and record, and walk around the car, and you know, record inside and that sort of stuff. It takes like 30 seconds, and then you could just go peace of mind, and Tesla will sort anything out, you know, within reason, sort of stuff. You'll be fine. A lot of that stuff you've heard online is just crap.
And Zen, you may be asked whether you're happy with the car, and if you are, or if you're asked to sign something, just say, look, I'm too excited to be, you know, in the right frame of mind now to be looking at every detail, but I will take it home and I'll let you know if there's any problems with it. So you can always say that and keep that up your pocket. And then in your own good time, you know, spend a couple of hours, you know, going through the car with a fine hair comb once you're, you know, not under the pressure of the delivery situation.
Bear in mind that Tesla are very reasonable, and if there's obviously an issue, they will absolutely fix it completely. They're not going to do a shonky and say, you know.
No, and I don't think that's the case at all. Like,
that.
experience has been good so far, so
But do look at it thoroughly. Yeah, but do look at it thoroughly if you like to at the service at the delivery pickup area, the delivery center. But equally, be happy enough to jump in the car and start enjoying it on your way home, and then, you know, later that day or later that week, have a good look. And you might miss things. You know, you might miss a paint fault or something like that, or a run in the paint or something. But like everyone said, these are Chinese made. All of these cars are made at Shanghai, and the build quality is friggin' excellent. It really is. I mean, I've got an American made car, and God bless America. But you know, they're great on all of my my bottle panel gaps are on average gaping, and you know, it's an American built car. All the ones you're getting now are Chinese built cars, and with a new factory that's set up, and it's close to perfect. It really is.
Pretty sweet.
One thing you may want to check, Zen, is with the pigtails on the UMC, the mobile connector. Just have a look in between the prongs, and it should say 10A for 10 amps and 15A for 15 amps on the other one. Every now and then you might get a 8 and a 12 amp instead of the 10 and 15. So if it's 8 and 12, just ask them, and hopefully they've got some to swap them around. And if they don't, just use those for the time being, and just put it in your app under service and request for them to be exchanged. And, you know, a week or two down the track, they'll exchange them for you.
One other thing you should check is have a look underneath the car. Make sure there's no exhaust pipes.
Sorry, I missed that one you mentioned about what was the lead you were talking about that has the amps?
Actually, look, to be honest, I think the chances of that being incorrect today is vanishingly close to zero.
What was it though? Just out of interest.
So I don't know if you were on before when Ken was showing the tails. I don't actually have one handy, but effectively,
you don't get that charge anymore, though, do you?
The tail, the end of it had a this is a non-earthed pin, but anyway, it's basically, you know, it's got a 10 amp plug, and it comes with two tails. We call them tails because the body of the mobile charger you can actually pull the tail out, and that way you can change whether it's a 10 amp or a 15 amp. If you didn't see it before, the 15 amp is just got a taller earth pin, or a fatter or thicker or whatever you want to call it, earth pin. So in the past, there were cases with the new cars that they had incorrectly marked and incorrectly specified tails, and there's a technical reason for it. In America, you're only permitted to draw 80% of the rated socket, or of the socket rating, if it's a long-term load, like if it's turned on for many minutes or hours, which can happen when you're charging. Whereas in Australia, you can draw the 10 amps, 100% nameplate all the time. So there was an error made by Tesla in production, and a whole batch of tails came out with incorrect ratings. And unfortunately, if you actually were to buy a universal mobile connector or a portable charger, it seems even today there is old stock that is living somewhere in the eastern states, and they will happily send out units that have the incorrect tails. But all of the new cars, I would dare say the chances of it being incorrect is as close to zero as you can get. But
good to know.
So
I'll
what Pete was
picture those
describing
tails.
was just if you've got good eyes or good glasses, just look between the active and the neutral pin, and you'll see in like a faint laser sort of print. Yes, it's just on the left there. You can see, well, you can't see because, well, yeah, it's going to be blurred. But right in there, that one's.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, is that?
Yeah,
15 amps.
Yeah,
Does that say 15? Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
that's it there.
I didn't think the car came with that charger anymore.
No. Yeah. Yes, it does, because you ordered the car before some
before the
date
cutoff.
in July. Before the cutoff,
yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Okay.
But even
So
if
make
you,
sure that's in there to start with.
oh yes, because all of the cars being delivered this quarter, so before the end of September, all of those cars are guaranteed to have UMCs in the boot. Next quarter, not so much. Some will and some won't.
Yeah, like your performance-wise and stuff will.
Yeah,
because you ordered them in June.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But Zen, if you can't find the UMC, before you go yelling at them saying it's not in there, just check in the sub boot. So because that's where they often tend to be with the delivery cars. So either in the boot or in that compartment underneath the boot.
Well, just ask the sales guy, the delivery person. Just ask him. Oh, where's my UMC? And they'll go, oh yeah, cool. It's usually under this flap, and they will show you where it is. And if they can't find it, or if it's not there, they'll just hand you one. And if they don't have one, don't sweat it. They'll just note. Well, you don't have to put a service. They'll just note it, and you can go and collect it from the service center. Yeah. Well, you could probably actually almost collect it there and then, because they're in two different locations, albeit in Osmond Park. They're only about a kilometre away from each other.
Yeah, that's right, because it's on King Edward's Road, right?
Precisely. Yes.
Yep. Drums.
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, I think that is the end of my question list. Thank you very much for.
You got to have more.
Thank you very much for answering my questions.
So you want to know about insurance or something? I can help you with that. Got a great story.
No, I've already got insurance sorted.
So out of interest, which insurer did you go for, Zen?
I went with RAC just because I currently have all of my cars and house and properties with RAC. And
you also did that because they're the cheapest as well. So that's just incidental.
It was only $980 for the year. So it was not too bad, I thought.
RAC Budget Direct seem to be the two with the best premiums. There's a lot of variables. There's, your excess. There's whether the insured amount, whether you get new or old, or whether grid value and the postcode and the
where you live and how you garage it, history. Yeah, sure, absolutely. I did ask about the window replacement though, because someone
I
mentioned
think
on the
those-
forum that you want to make sure they cover all glass, but it says in the T's and C's their replacement
Yeah.
glass is all glass,
Yeah,
regardless.
I called them up about that too and got it in writing. I got it in writing from them saying that the roof is counted as part of it. Murray say.
Yeah. Cool. Which is cool.
So,
Did you want us
Russell,
to?
I'll go on, Paul.
Oh, I was just going to, remember I was going to talk about the, if your theatre screen is blank, how to fix it.
Oh, not yet. Okay, so we're just
Okay.
going to complete this insurance circle. And
Okay.
Russell's about to pop a balloon. So
I don't have to talk about it. It doesn't bother me.
No, let's
Go for
talk
it.
about
No,
it
no,
because it's interesting because it's something that all of us ought to be aware of, particularly when our car is more than brand new, so, or possibly even brand new. So go, Russell.
Okay, so I've had my car for a bit over a year now, so I've had to renew my insurance. At the time I did it, since when I first bought the car, I've added some things to the car, like the value of the car is slightly different. So when I got my renewal email through, it had a price listed there that was less than what I anticipated the price to be. So I called them up and discussed my options with them, and they said, look, the maximum we can insure your car for, like right now with me, is I think it was like 91,250 or something, right?
So what car have you got, Russell, for completeness?
Oh yeah, so I've got a 2021 long range. So I bought it for, I think it was 75,000 ish when I got it. The first year of insurance I had, I insured it for 85,000, and that covered things like the window tinting and the ceramic coat and the extra like cables and stuff that would have been in the car seat, just bits and pieces like that. That added to the value. So when I got my insurance renewal through, it came through at $80,000, and I thought, well, that's a bit like weird. Like the car hasn't really dropped in value that much. So I went on to before I called them, I went on to like Marketplace and car sales and whatnot, and I couldn't find a long range for sale in Australia for under $95,000, like basic, with no options, no nothing, right? So my car, I've got a performance acceleration boost, and I've also got enhanced autopilot. So there's $5,100 for the enhanced autopilot and $3,000 for the performance boost. So right there, the value of my car is already, you're looking over $100,000 based on the current prices of long range cars. So when I called them up, the maximum they could offer me was 95,000 and something. And they asked me, look, we can go higher, but you need to list a value that we need to then decide on. So I got my spreadsheet out and checked all the current values of all the things. And the price I got to was 107,000 and a little bit, right? And when I go from that number, they said they were unable to insure my car for that value because the vehicle value that they use is set by a company called Glasses, something or other. And that company so that company has a value of my car of 70, I can't remember, I think it's like, I've got it written down here, but like 70, let's just say 72,000-ish, right? So I was like, well, how did you get to the 105,000 they were offering? They said, well, we can add a percentage on top of that base value to allow for any extras and whatnot. But once we hit that percentage, no matter what you do to the car, we can't insure it for more than the value. I don't know what it is. Let's just say like 30% above that value, right? I haven't worked out the exact numbers. So effectively, if I was to upgrade to full self-driving now for an additional $5,000, I couldn't insure that value on my car because I wouldn't be able to get the insurance for that. So what I'm planning to do, first, has anyone got any questions about that before I go to the next stage, or does anyone understand what I'm getting at? Yep. Cool. All right, so what I'm planning to do, so realistically, I'm insuring my car for the 105,000 they said. I valued 107,000, whatever, $2,000, don't really care, whatever, right? But the thing that's going to happen next year when I go to insure the car again, the value of my car realistically isn't going to decrease in value next year. The value that we're selling for on marketplace or car sales or whatever is going to be pretty much what it is now, realistically. It's not going to go down by the depreciation that they'd expect of other vehicles. So I'm going to be in an even worse situation next year, where likely I'll also have bought full self-driving by then. So I looked into if there was any sort of like ombudsman or whatever for insurance, and I found that there is a pathway to do it, to complain. The first step I need to do is formally lodge a complaint with RAC, asking them to reconsider and provide me full insurance of what I'm after. If they decline that, I can then escalate the complaint to that other body, the insurance body. However, if they actually comply with my requirement, I've got having a leg to stand on. I almost have need to accept it and wait till next year, because the ombudsman won't consider the case unless there's an outstanding, issue. And for all intent, if they decide to insure my car for 107,000, then I haven't got an issue anymore. It'll be delayed by an extra year, effectively.
And just out of interest, I mean, Russell and I discussed this, and we're talking about whether us as a club could do something about this. But unfortunately, I foresaw the fact that insurance companies would, I guess rightly, they'll just use the case of, well, TOCA is not the customer, and we can only deal with complaints or issues brought by customers themselves. So that's why, one of the questions, a reasonable question would have been, well, why doesn't TOCA do something about it? Well, we sort of would if we could, but I think the path that Russell's going down is the appropriate path at the moment. But Russell, depending on what result you get, we could propose something that we discussed the other day.
Yeah. So once I've got in contact with the ombudsman or I don't think it's like some sort of, representative for the Insurance Commission, I will effectively have a direct line with my representative there. And then that information I could probably then pass on to the club, and other people who feel the same way about me in the situation could potentially also submit their, situation, and it could mirror what I'm experiencing potentially. And rather than one person complaining about, hey, how hard's life at the moment, I can't insure my $100,000 car, it would be a number of people in a similar situation, because the difference with our cars are the insurance at the moment doesn't understand that our cars don't depreciate, and we insure software on a car that theoretically in the future could be more expensive than the value of the car itself.
Absolutely.
So until we can get them to understand that our cars don't depreciate by 40% in the first 3 years, we're all going to be in a pretty crap situation where our car gets written off and we can't afford to buy a new one, because the current market rate of even a 2019 Model 3, for example, is still valued well below what you can buy a 2019 Model 3 for now.
I think one of the problems is that they stick to Glass's valuation, and that is drastically out of touch with reality. I've faced that the last 2 years, and last year I nearly left them. They were just pathetic to deal with.
Yeah. So on the Glass's website, there's a big spiel in there about how they provide industry-leading accurate estimates on the latest auction and sales data and whatnot. And I don't know where they're getting this statement from, because I went through auction data as well, and I didn't see one car that sold less than $90,000 all year, but not one. So I don't understand where these values are coming from.
The best antidote to these undervalued amounts from Glass's guide is to say, okay, you show me a car at that price, and I'll buy it tomorrow.
I'll buy fucking 10 of them. If they show me a $75,000 Model 3, a long range, I will honestly buy 10 of them and flip them the next day for like 20 grand each. Like,
exactly.
It's ridiculous.
That's out of touch.
Not that.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, electric cars have gone up in price.
But RAC won't
be able
budge
to
on
sell
those
out.
prices.
No, because they're tied to what they consider to be the industry standard, which is Glass's guide, and unfortunately they're using that as a crutch or as a defence to say, well, it's not our fault, talk to Glass's. But of course, Russell doesn't have a relationship with Glass's guide. He has nothing to do. None of us as owners of cars have anything to do with Glass's guide. So it's a bit of a cop out.
Yeah, and
but
you can't contact them direct because they don't allow individuals to contact them. If
No,
you're,
you've got to be a member.
company that uses their services, you can speak to them, but other than that, they won't take any correspondence. Also, on a side note,
wait, hang on, Pete. Go, Russell.
Also, in addition to that, I did some, I guess, R&D on the RAC space about valuations of insurance based on different vehicles. And to my surprise, I suppose, for the exact same dollar amount. So if you were to insure a 2021 Model 3 at $91,000, a 2022 Model 3 at $91,000, and the 2022 Model Y at $91,000, all those cars come in at different valuations of insurance, and the Model Y is the cheapest by far. So the calculation they're doing factors in the age of the car as a percentage increase on insurance, irrespective if the car's got 0 kilometers on it or 100,000 kilometers. The actual insurance amount for the second year is disproportionately inflated from the first year. And also the Model Y, the way I figured it out, I was sort of trying to do some maths on it, but it looks like the valuation of the insurance you pay, the premium you pay, is based on the percentage above the normalized value of that vehicle exponentially. So as you pay additional value on your standard number, there's an exponential increase in your cost. So that's why the Model Y at 91,000 is cheaper to insure than a Model 3 at 91,000 because you're deviating further away from the standard price.
Sounds like we need to do a club meetup at Glass's headquarters midweek sometime.
The only problem with that, Damon, is that meetup would have to occur in Sydney or Melbourne, which would be awesome. But it takes a while to get there.
The actual premium price, that's nothing with Glasses. That's RAC essentially trying to entice you to go with them for the first year, I think. And the second year, once they know the car's not brand new anymore, you pay more for it because that's just how it is. It's not a brand new car. I think they're trying to get you in, and use that as I don't know what the third year's like. I'm not sure if that increases again, but definitely there's a huge jump between.
It does, Russell, but not by the same percentage.
Yeah, but
it does increase.
It doesn't make
the
any
value
sense
goes
to me
down.
why, for the same value, the same household, the same circumstances, a Model Y is like $300 or $400 cheaper than a Model 3 at the same exact same insurable value.
But it is a
Can I
member
give my
organisation. They're meant to be looking after their members, and they couldn't give a stuff about their members. They're just worried about their premiums, and the insurance side of it is extremely hard to deal with. If you said they're mongrels, it'd be understating the fact. I think they're not pleasant to deal with. But the claim side of the business is very good. But the insurance side has a lot to answer for, I feel.
Joe. I think
you
you
complain to them, but you can't even complain to them.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Couldn't agree more, Peter. Go, Joe.
I did write these numbers on Facebook and people were quite surprised, but because I've just insured the Y, so it's actually the same agreed value. I've done it for 78k, and I've got the Model 3 2019, and I've also got the same agreed value 77,600 because it's got full self-drive. Same excess, same address, same drivers. My Model 3 is 1,740. My Model Y is 725.
And that is outrageous.
So
And
I'm
that's-
1,000 difference.
And Joe, I can
Mine's
second
fine.
that.
Oh,
I
hang
can
on.
second that. We've got
I'll never get this way.
we've got three cars. We've got the two Model 3s and the Model Y now, well soon. And the Model Y is several $100s cheaper than both of the other cars, even though I've actually insured it for a much higher value than the other two cars. And once again, everything is identical. Where it's being kept, the same drivers, same address, all the rest of it. So,
go, Paul.
Oh, it's all right. No, I was just going to say that, I think mine's $200 difference. But mind you, I've got
I win then.
Yeah, you win.
My Model X.
But the Model Y is actually a cheaper car than mine. I've insured mine for replacement value.
The RAC wanted $1,800 for my Model X at $80,000, and
Yeah,
yet my Model Y for 70, whatever it is, nearly $80,000 is about 800. So again, it's about $1,000 delta for the same value. Yeah, it's like they treat you. They give an artificial discount for the first year to suck you in. Yeah. And this is only my personal opinion, and this is not official or anything. But it's almost like they will treat a stranger or a new product with favour, and then they just go, well, now we've locked you in. We're going to milk you on the second and third and fourth years.
I suppose it's also the thing of, are you guys RAC members as well, sort of stuff?
Yeah, so that's silver membership.
Yeah, because I'm a gold member, and so my.
Oh, sorry.
So go, Paul.
I was just saying, so mine, maybe that might be the difference as well, because this car's like 900 or something, and the Y is 750.
No, it's not, because I went through and changed all the different premium levels on my quote and put it on gold and whatever. It made stuff all difference. So
maybe I'm special.
Just with that, Harold, as well. It's not just the first year, like trying to suck you in. If you purchase a car in January, just say, and it's the year before, it's a December 2021, for example, you pay the higher price than if the car was made 6 days later.
The other thing
I'm
also
paying a
is
2019 price.
the other thing, because I had a discussion with them with the iMove, because that ended up going up a bit, and they were talking about like it's up to 5 years, and then from that point on, they charge a lot more as well. You know, you don't get that zero emission discount, and I said, well, it's a zero emission vehicle. So I had a bit of a discussion with them with that. So because that was more expensive than my car, and I'm going, that's a $14,000. Well, I'll probably get $14,000 car as opposed to 100,000. So yeah.
The reason for this discrepancy, and we'll explain a lot of these, is there's a correlation, and I'm not saying this as a fact, it's more a theory, but there's a correlation between accidents and damage and claims on brand new cars versus cars that are a year old, 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. So the older the car is, the less likely you are to be precious about it, and the more likely that you will be involved in an accident or what have you, the more likely that you are to lend it to someone, the more likely that you are to be driving in a different manner than when you've only just bought your car. So I think that explains a lot of it. The other point I wanted to make is I asked RAC about the glasses valuation when I first got my car, because they wouldn't, initially when I got it, they wouldn't insure it to what I even bought it for. So I couldn't even insure the value that I paid for the car. So, and they blamed it on glasses. And then then they dropped the insured amount with the renewal, and I asked again, and they blamed it on glasses. And then I said to them, I said, okay, you find me that car anywhere in Australia for that price, and I'll go and buy it tomorrow. And obviously they agree with me that it was but the justification for it was, well, all the prices are very exaggerated, inflated at the moment because of the COVID effect, and glasses understands that once COVID is over, all these prices will drop. Well, COVID has been going on for over two and a half years, and if anything, the prices have continued to stay at those elevated levels or increase, number one. And number two, because our cars get better every 6 odd weeks with the next free over-the-air update, and because FSD, is going to be $21,000 now, the value of these cars keeps on going up at or if it does depreciate, it depreciates at a much lower rate than the rest of the cars out there. And glasses has got absolutely no idea, and they're not reflecting that one iota.
Yeah. There's a point. In fact, they are not counting. They are they are presuming that because FSD is a software switch, which is exactly what it is, they don't count it as hardware, as a valid accessory, because they don't think of software as an accessory. So that's a huge issue with the insurance industry.
If they added that value of my FSD to the base price of the car, I'd have an extra $10,000 worth of wiggle room to add my accessories to, and the situation becomes a lot easier to manage. But right now, the majority of my premium amount I can add on to the valuation is consumed by software, which is actually like part of the car. It's not like I've added, you know, bling to it. I'm trying to cover that. It's actually part of the car.
And the other thing to mention is it's not like you're putting on a bigger or louder exhaust or anything like that. This goes to the safety of the car. This is the most compelling safety feature that the car offers. So yeah. And the FSD is linked to the car. So you know, if you write it off, you can't take that software with you to another car. It's directly linked with that VIN.
With your point before, Pete, about how they wouldn't let you go higher, to me that makes no sense, because I'm willing to pay more premium to cover more value, irrespective of what the car's worth. Like, I can value my house at, like, you know, $1 million more, and they're not going to blink an eye with that. Yeah, sure, mate, if you want to insure it for that much, I don't give a stuff. Like, go for it. Like, you pay me more money. If the house burns down, we're going to build it, and that's all you're going to get. So whatever.
There's no master's guide for your house and contents policy.
Yeah, that's right. You just do what you want. So for them to say we're not going to insure past a certain value, it's ridiculous, because the majority of claims they're going to have are going to be for fender benders, not write-offs, right? So for me to insure my car at a premium amount, realistically, I'm going to make a claim for a bumper or a rear mirror, or sorry, a tail light or something. The odds of me writing the car off are so far less probable of writing it off than any other minor damage. So that minor damage, I could cover my car for 70 grand and the minor damage will still be covered.
And the other thing to mention, the other factor is also because the cars are higher value cars to begin with, the chances of it being written off is much lower. So if you have, a $20,000 car and there's $30,000 worth of damage to it, of course you're going to write that off. But you've got a $100,000 Tesla, you've got $80,000 worth of damage to it, and they'll probably fix it.
Yeah.
So why don't we, as a club, lobby Tesla to just bring their Tesla insurance here and be done with it?
Well, actually, and I was just going to, James has been prolific on text, and thanks, James. But feel free just to pipe up and just yell at us and tell us. Well, as long as you're off mute, because otherwise we won't be able to hear you.
I was going to say, we don't let anyone get a word in edgewise.
I know.
Go. Sorry.
No, that's cool. So he's made a couple of points. So Suncorp, he's just demonstrated that actually, you know, as bad as the RAC is, if you want to call it that, for subsequent years, in Western Australia, we really are fortunate because we've got pretty good deals. James has just quoted Suncorp saying that the annual fee for a Model 3 rear-wheel drive is $1,900 for a February 2022. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, I think that's right. And then, well, just correct me if I'm wrong, James. And then for a Model Y rear-wheel drive, it's $2,000. You know.
Yeah, so mine's leased, so I had no choice. Did the shopping around beforehand, and I was disappointed to find out that's what it costs.
So James, you couldn't get a price from the RAC because it's leased?
No.
What, they wouldn't offer you a premium?
No, that the RAC would, but the leasing company, finance company, all packaged together.
Right. So they've shoehorned you into.
But yeah.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I reckon there's two possible solutions, right, that I can see right now that will solve a lot of these problems. The first one is if Tesla let you transfer ownership of FSD if the car's a total write-off to a newly purchased car through them.
Yes.
So I've ridden my car off, there it is in the scrap heap. I'm going to buy another one from you, and you get it straight away. I would not have to insure that value, because when FSD costs you $50,000, $60,000 to buy, who the hell is going to insure that? It just makes no fucking sense, right?
And Russell, the big point there is actually Tesla cannot, in all honesty, mount a contrary opinion to that or contrary argument, because you could say if they built a car and they sold it to you for an X amount of money, it's cost them a whole lot of money to produce that car, and it has true value, which when it's destroyed, that is just destroyed and that's it, and you've got to build another one. But to transfer or to enable FSD on a replacement car literally costs Tesla nothing, because the software costs a lot to develop, but they're effectively saying, well, we think it's fair enough that in the next 10 years of the use of that car, we're charging you $10,000 for FSD, and that's reasonable. Yeah. But if the car was legitimately destroyed permanently, it costs that car no longer gets the enjoyment of that $10,000 worth of FSD, which costs Tesla nothing to turn on to another car that replaces it. So
zero marginal cost.
There's zero marginal cost. So it's actually, I was going to say unconscionable. That's probably a bit harsh, but it's very difficult for Tesla to continue to maintain that it's appropriate to consider FSD as a physical manifestation that gets destroyed.
I think the reason behind it, Harold, is that I believe, this isn't based on any sort of fact or anything. My belief is that when FSD gets to the point of no return, essentially, you're not going to be able to buy it, and they're going to try and make it subscription only, which will mean you don't have to insure subscription. And the people lucky enough to have FSD now who've locked in for 10 grand just have to deal with it, because you're one of the lucky few who managed to buy a tenth of the cost of what's going to be in 5 years' time, and that's just what you got to deal with. And the problem about insurance is going to be null, because you can only buy subscriptions anyway.
You know what's going to be a really interesting situation is that when, as you said, FSD is fully fledged out and you've sent it off to go and either earn you some money or go and drop your kids off at school or what have you, and let's say it gets, God forbid, written off while it's on FSD, or let's say it's coming back empty and it gets written off while it's on FSD, and you lose your FSD.
Do you sue Tesla? Do you sue Tesla for driving badly and losing that asset?
No, because it might not be their fault. Someone could just be maliciously plowing into it,
They could have T-boned it. True. Yes, they could have T-boned it.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be its fault, or it could, but whatever. It's the main point is that it had nothing to do with you. It was your fault in that was 0%, and through 0% of your, through no fault of your own, you're now massively disadvantaged. And no, you're disadvantaged to the point.
Hear another train.
You're disadvantaged to the point where you may not be able to buy the next car.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what
Actually, we're just going to do a little interlude. Sorry, just a little interlude on FSD, because I've been meaning to get this video out and it's getting a bit later, but we will get back to the insurance immediately. We're talking about FSD, and obviously even Elon Musk has acknowledged Chuck Cook's what they call an unprotected left turn, which for us would be an unprotected right-hand turn over 3 lanes of traffic. And I thought I'd just show this video, which actually shows just how good version 10.69 really is. It goes for a couple of minutes, and then we'll get back to this insurance thing. So just watch this for a sec.
I hear another train.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
No creep network. We got the median identified. It needs to stop. Okay. This is going to be another long wait. Yeah, that's okay. Let's look at this network a little bit more. We're nowhere near the limit right now. Lots of cars coming from both directions. Okay, there's a very tiny gap here that you might want to go for, but if you go, you better go. You can't go now. Stop. Wow, could you feel it thinking there? It crept out a little bit more, which wasn't a creep for visibility. It was it was like, I'm going to go, but then it changed its mind because the situation evolved. That is good. That stop as soon as you see a problem, as long as you're not in harm's way. Stopping when you're in harm's way is a bad decision. Okay, this is great. We've got a red light that's creating a backup here. I don't know that you're going to be able to see it. Sometimes in this situation, cars will stop to give you a gap to cross. Let's see what happens here. This truck is waiting. These cars are not. Is the car going to go? Holy smokes. Okay, what's it going to do here? Okay, is it going to stop in the median? Holy smokes. Okay, wow. A lot of traffic coming from the backside. It went in a gap created by a human. I've now got a trailer. I can't see anything where I am, but the repeater camera has a better view of this angle than me. I can kind of pop this up. Actually, I'm sorry, the turn signal's on, so it actually shows that. But I'll pull it back up. See that repeater view? That's really good. Okay, now this car, obviously he's a truck. He can see, okay, is it gonna go? Okay, wow. So I think it went because the repeater knew it was clear. I couldn't see it. That repeater camera has a great angle with the way they've got the pose going out there. And it proceeded. I can't tell you how good that was. It did not make any bad decisions. And it fit into a gap made by a human waving somebody through.
There you go. So that's just showing us what FSD can do to make it safer. I mean, obviously, when you're looking at that video, us as humans, we could have just shot the gap and, you know, been more aggressive. But anyway, so
I think so. There's some commentary around that, and other people have commented on that exact video. And some people rightly said, my mother could not navigate that intersection, right? And legitimately, that's a genuine possibility that some people would not be comfortable enough to drive that intersection, right? Just to put that in perspective of how much this is actually going to enable people to travel, like that's almost like superhuman for some people, essentially.
Well, look at this, Russell. So this bit here. Oops, come on. Oh, come on, work. That car, the red car stopped, but that white one, I mean, that's not really in easy view. And as it crosses, the car, look at that, literally as it's crossing, it's moving forward. So it already knows there's nothing there. And I don't know that many people can actually work that out, because you've got to actually look at if you look at the upper left-hand side where the camera is looking, you've got to look at those cars and the gaps.
There's videos that were put out on your news section, Harold. You sort of showed an extract from a presentation that was given previously. Yes. In that video, it showed how it had a rationale of it's spotted something in the distance and it knows how fast it's going, so it can predict when it's going to be there, even if it can't see it. So that would have picked up that car like behind the queue of traffic. Yep. And as it's moved it through, it's going, hey, there's nothing else coming. I can see way down there. I'm going to go now because I know how fast it's going and there's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, I forget what that's called, but that's right, because it has to deal with obstructions, and it actually doesn't look at where the object was. It actually projects it forward in time, even though it can't.
In vector space, yeah.
So say that again, Pete.
In vector space, so vector vision.
Yeah, no, they described it something else.
It was occluded stuff, you know, like
and it doesn't just look at where something is; it looks at its motion and predicted motion, and infers it, even though there's no direct evidence of it subsequently until it reappears.
Yeah, because I saw some vision today. Was it Stephen Mark Ryan? It was on someone's, and it had shown a kid that was on a bicycle, and he was riding, and it was in a construction zone. So you had all these bollards and stuff, and it was very hard to see, but the car had already started slowing down for him. And then the kid went out in front of the car. So of course it was fine, but it was just like a human would have missed that. And I was just like blown away by that.
What's going to be really interesting is, you know how he said that he couldn't see that there was no cars coming because that car with the caravan was there, but the repeater camera could, because that's in the perfect angle where it's, you know. So what's going to happen is humans are going to start pressing the brake when the car wants to go because the human can't see it. And at some point, Tesla is going to have to invalidate the disengagements. At the moment, it uses the disengagements as a corrective measure, but at some point, you won't be able to rely on that anymore.
Yeah, especially for the steering wheel.
It'll save insurance companies a fortune.
Well, this is the thing as well. So our cars are statistically safer than any other car on the road, like hands down, right? But still we pay a premium. So for other people's mistakes, essentially.
Our insurance, I disagree with our insurance prices are actually very good compared to an equivalent insured value for an ICE car. You try and insure an ICE car in the same location, same neighborhood, same drivers, that's $100,000, and you won't be paying below $2,000.
I don't think that's the issue. I think it's the inconsistency in the attitude of them. And as I say, as a member organisation, I think they've got an obligation to us to do the right thing because we're the one paying them, and they're supposed to be acting on our behalf. But they've forgotten all about members. We're just a damn hindrance.
Sorry, I just got to put this up.
The previous comments were general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
Sorry about that.
One thing that can be guaranteed is that the nanosecond that Tesla announces insurance in Western Australia, every single person with existing insurance is going to swap.
Exactly.
But Russell, except they're expensive, to be honest. So unless they understand Australian conditions, because Tesla insurance in the States is not cheap compared to here.
Yeah.
Like it's still several $100s a month.
We'll be one of the last.
I thought they used the analytics of driving styles and patterns, and if you were safe, you got cheaper insurance. And is that going to be a thing or not?
But their absolute rate is still not cheap. It might be cheap in eastern states. Yes,
in the same comparison to so the insurance in America, it's cheaper than the equivalent insurance over there, right?
Yes,
but wouldn't the same thing happen here? That the relative difference between what we're currently paying, what we could get, be the same or not?
Hopefully. I mean, I know people in Europe that pay over 2,000 euros per annum for insurance, which I was shocked at. But clearly they've got snow and ice and black ice and blah-de-blah and dense traffic and whatever. So perhaps their crash rate is higher. But I was shocked, 2,000 euros.
Even in states like California in the US, where they don't have ice or snow or anything like that, they've got a similar climate to us, a temperate climate. They pay roughly the same amounts as we do for insurance, except the difference being is they're paying in US dollars, we're paying in Australian dollars. And there's another factor also is that most things in the US are a lot cheaper than they are in Australia. So you buy a can of Coke is going to cost you, 30 cents as opposed to $1.50 or whatever.
Yep. Cool. So Russell, we got insurance all ventilated. I think, look, the main principle is Russell's going to do his best to argue his case whenever and wherever that's possible or permissible. And then what we'll do as a club is if Russell's got like a template of complaint that many of us have a common setup, then we can then basically stand on his shoulders and try and magnify that case. But I fear that if you're talking to ombuds people, you've got to do it, unfortunately, frustratingly, as individuals, because they'll say, well, and unless we could, I don't think ombudsmen or the organisation, I don't think they deal with the equivalent of like a
Class action.
Class action. Yeah, sorry. Yes, exactly.
Royal Commission, Harris, we need Royal Commission.
That's right.
But
That's
Russell,
right.
as you started saying, Russell, there's there's actually three solutions. So number one, Tesla disassociates FSD with the car and links it to your account rather than the car, or Tesla offers their insurance in Western Australia, or the insurance companies will start to recognize the value of FSD. Those are your three solutions, really, aren't they?
Pretty much, yeah. Yep, that's right. And not just value SSD, but the actual value of the car, like irrespective of what's happening around the world with coronavirus and whatever, right now, if my car gets crashed, I've got to buy a new one now, not in like 5 years' time when the prices have dropped.
Exactly.
The prices need to reflect the current price of the car today. Like that's when it has to be reflective.
Well, Russell, riddle. So hang on, just 2 seconds. Russell, riddle me this. There are probably a significant proportion of houses that by definition are currently underinsured because the cost to replace them has gone through the roof. And I reckon quite a few insurance companies, if your house burnt down, they may go, well, your insured value was accurate in 2020 and we escalated it automatically by 5% per annum, but costs have gone up 50%. And we therefore find that you are technically or actually underinsured and we're going to pay you a pro rata. So I dare say that, and I don't want to bash insurance companies, but they'd probably be quite happy to put that issue to a house where the costs have gone through the roof. In other words, or the value of the house has gone through the roof, replacement value, but they seem to be slow on cars.
But a lot of people are blaming COVID for a lot of different issues, cars being one of them. But I think more importantly for the cars, there's the computer chips. I think the COVID thing is long gone. The Toyotas and that, they can't get the chips, and that applies to a number of different companies. Tesla's got away with it. But a lot of the other car companies just can't produce them. And I think COVID is blamed for all that, but I don't think it's true.
Well, COVID, it's funny, COVID caused much of industry to shut down, cancel forward orders, like the car industry, because they all thought there'd be zero demand. And then the governments at the time rightly reacted by dumping trillions of dollars into the economy to bolster it. And you're looking at building companies are now there was another building company in Queensland that went broke today.
Yep.
And they went broke partly because the government, in its then wisdom, introduced a huge building incentive because they thought that builders would have nothing to build because of COVID. But that isn't what actually happened, because everyone got money in their pockets. And unfortunately, humans, if there's $1 in your pocket, it's burning a hole in it, you've got to spend it. So they all started ordering new houses. But then, of course, you've had the Ukraine thing and energy costs and logistics and other things. And the source of the cost of materials has gone through the roof. So these builders who thought they'd been a boom, and in fact, all the tradies are, because brickies went from $1 a brick to $3 a brick, because no cashed up bogan is going to get out of bed for less than $1,000 a day, and if they can turn that into $2,000 a day, well, so be it. You've got these perverse outcomes where what was going to be the savior of the building industry is actually becoming its nemesis, and it's killing the building industry. So, and the same thing with the car industry. And when you say that Tesla got away with it, I dispute that. Tesla worked their guts out, and because they are vertically integrated and amazingly fast acting, because they've got the engineers that can relay their boards, the circuit boards, to substitute microprocessors and microcontrollers to get to use whatever's going. Like whatever they can get, they'll adapt it to make it work. And that's, you can see that evidenced by some of what Sandy Munro's seen in the new Model Y with the 4680 batteries. They keep evolving continually. And they basically just said, well, if we haven't got this chip, we're going to use some other chip to do the same function. Whereas the other companies, again, they naively use tier one suppliers. So they they don't build cars. They're component assemblers. They just buy all the subsystems from tier 1 suppliers who have zero interest in innovating. They'll just say to the car companies, well, sorry, we haven't got any, there's no chips. Whereas Tesla says, well, that's not good enough. Let's buy a different chip, relay the circuit board, and put it in the car in a few weeks.
And what was it, the last earnings call? They were saying that they actually found that there was a whole bunch of chips they didn't need. So they actually reduced a lot of chips as well, which was actually a good thing. So then they were actually able to put more into more cars, and they made more cars.
They were saying Tesla doesn't actually make any chips, but they design their chips. And so the big thing was car manufacturers have lots of hundreds of boxes, a box that controls this, a box that controls that, and they buy their chips from the same place that Tesla buys their chips, but they cancel their orders. So pipelines are 18 months long. They cancel their orders. So Sony TV manufacturers put their orders in, push them back the line. So, but Tesla doesn't have hundreds. They have half a dozen, and they run a computer. So they have one device which runs 20, 30 systems. And as you say, they've been getting rid of those. They don't have a controller for the throttle, a controller for the ECU controller for that. So they're not sitting around waiting for, hello, chip manufacturer, actually, can we have those chips back? Yep, no worries. 18 months wait list on the back of that. There you go. So there's no shortage of chips. There was a shortage of getting your orders in, and Ford, they all cancelled.
That's right. And when they cancelled, then the chip fabricating, because to make a fab plant takes, I don't know if it's 18 months or a couple of years to actually build a fab plant. And they cost about $1 billion. And they are the most amazing thing that humans ever built, because they are at the bleeding edge. Like, forget Tesla as a car and all that awesomeness. To make microprocessors, they're not even using light anymore. They're using electron beams, and they're just continually shrinking. It's just mind blowing what they're doing, and it costs a lot of money. And when everyone cancelled their orders, they went, well, let's stop making fab plants, because otherwise we'll go broke, because they're expensive to just sit there as white elephants. And then you had this sudden stop. But 3 months after COVID started, everyone realized that we weren't all going to die in a black hole. Everything sort of not quite went back to normal, but they realized that the economy would go on, and they got caught short,
Yeah, Tesla should just buy one of them. How they did with Groman.
Well, they're designing their own.
I know they're doing a little bit, but how they did with Tesla Groman, well, Groman before engineering, and they bought them, and then they just cancelled all the orders for the other ones.
Yeah, but a fab plant, you probably need several fabs, because they are made for a specific purpose, and you can't fabricate all chips from one plant, so it's a bit more diversified.
Well, they're getting money hand over fist, so they should just do it.
Go, Russell.
You'd have existing clientele and orders they still need to fulfill. So like they could just say, oh, we've got it now. None of you guys get your chips, we're taking them all. They'd be getting into a whole new business, which wouldn't really serve them straight away. It'd be a gradual slowdown, and then.
I mean, they want to do 20 million by 2030.
Yeah, so
you
for
would
them
sort
as
of
well,
think
they don't need to get involved in things that doesn't serve them if there's no problem. Unless they can, so they don't necessarily want to get into doing all this stuff, but if they have to, they will.
Yeah.
That's why companies like CATL and things like that, that's why they're actively doing more and more, because if they know they don't start making more, they're just going to lose out. They're going to make their own. So I think chip manufacturers and whatnot are going to be doing a similar thing. If there's orders on the books, they're going to be like, okay, cool, let's bank new factories. Why would we wait for someone else to make a factory when we can make the money off that? I don't know whether Tesla would be super beneficial from doing it.
I had to forward order and pay in advance for 100,000 chips for a product I make. And you go, oh, that's, and to me, that's not that many chips. But if you needed one of those chips per car, that's 100,000 cars, and that's kind of real money. I mean, in my case, it's a product that's like $20. It's nothing.
Harold, do you want one back? I've got one here I'm not using. an air key, isn't it?
Yes. Well, yeah, but we're not
People sitting
advertising
around if
that
you want
product.
that. Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, and that's a low value product. But I had to, when I knew that there was a shortage coming
Well,
in
it's
20.
just made of air, isn't it, Harold?
Yeah, that's right. It's just vaporware. That's right. It's just mostly fresh air. But so I did what Tesla did. Well, I just ballsed up and placed an order for 100,000 component chips, and that was locked in, and I was in the stream, and that was okay. But the Fords and the General Motors, they cancelled their orders, and then of course they end up going at the back of the queue.
Yeah, but we've had a couple of years now, so that excuse doesn't fly with them anymore. They just
No. There's still the
product.
problem is there's still a shortage, but provided that you keep placing forward orders, you get better service because you've got this established pattern, and you've got to be prepared to outlay some funds to do that. And like I said, I'm such a small company; it's just not funny. Yeah. But I've committed to buy, 100,000 components. In fact, several 100,000 components because there are different ones. And for Tesla's only 10 times bigger. Yeah. So, and they're worth $1 trillion. So there's no doubt that companies can put forward orders and they can commit to things, and Tesla has and does. But the other ICE makers or their tier one suppliers are going, well, we think, there's not going to be any orders. We don't, they live on very thin profit margins, whereas Tesla can have bigger margins because they're vertically integrated.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, they should just do it.
Yeah. But I mean, the Groman engineering thing was a brilliant move because they knew they had to build thousands of robots or buy thousands of robots. And they understood that in that business, it's a relationship business, but all of the other car manufacturers could easily block, and Tesla would be third or fourth or fifth in line, and they want robots now, not in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
And that they obviously realized that the best way to do that is just buy the company. And I think some of the German car manufacturers actually had a bit of a sook about it. And
BMW did.
That it's not fair that you're buying this company because we wanted to buy robots, and Tesla. I don't know if they said, "Oh yeah, we'll get around to building them when we've finished building ours," which is okay when you own the company. You can say that.
But you could say that was amazing foresight, and in some respects it was. But it was really Tesla learning from their own mistakes, because when they were nobody and a car company that was, by many people's estimation, more likely to fail than survive, they couldn't get any parts from any of these.
No, tier one, no,
they were not.
It was all tier two. They got tier two and tier threes. That's all that was.
Laptop batteries and all sorts of shit, wasn't it?
Yeah, they got the
exactly.
And they had one of the reasons why they're so vertically integrated is because with some components they had no choice. They literally had to build their own components because they knew that they just couldn't get it.
Who is the only car company that might? Sorry, say again, Peter.
No, I was going to say that Tesla's the new kid on the block, but they're streets ahead already because they've got the foresight and the ability to do this, whereas the others sit back and think, "Oh well, we're the kingpins here," but they got left behind.
Who is the only company that makes their own seats? Tesla.
Yeah.
There's not, and then like the thing is, a seat is it's not expensive, but it probably is, but. Why would you allow another business to make a profit margin out of something that you have to make a lot of, and it's not hard to make technically? So why wouldn't you do that yourself? Yeah. As opposed to allowing someone else to make a 30%, a margin on top, because they will. It's goes without saying.
Does Tesla make its own airbags as well inside the seats?
Don't know about now. They didn't before because they were caught up in the Tata. No, not Tata. Was it Tata?
No. I know the recall.
Takata? No, Takata.
Takata airbag.
Yeah. So my wife's Model S, I think, just missed out. It was a month younger than when that was an issue with those airbags.
because now the airbags are effectively software controlled, because depending on your weight and where your weight distribution, where you're sitting on the seat, it deploys based on those sort of factors. So you would think they must be produced by Tesla now.
Well, Tesla's can refine that process given their crash data that they control themselves, and they're down to milliseconds now. Whereas the others just put it in and switch it off.
They're even better. They're actually predicting the crash. So the seatbelt pretensioners now turn on when the cameras think that there's a 99.999% chance of a head-on collision, and they pre-tension your seatbelt before you actually
and they're testing adding another airbag in between the front seats. You seen that one?
Yeah,
we had that in the news 1 or 2
Last
weeks
week?
ago, Damon.
I haven't managed to catch up yet.
Oh, Damon, come on, mate. Come
There's
on.
too many hours.
Mate, you're gonna have to either up your cadence or go from half an hour to an hour, Dave.
Watch it at 4 times speed.
Damon, too much.
4 times.
Too many hours is barely enough, mate. I'm afraid to say. Just a quick note on the Cicada airbags. The actual issue there was the fact that the compound, it's not explosive, but it deflagrates or whatever. It burns very quickly. The issue was when it aged and degraded, it actually goes off faster and harder than designed. So rather than going off gently, it would go off like a bomb, and that would project metal fragments or other bits into the throats of people. So, and sadly, there was an Australian, I think in Tasmania, that actually was killed by an airbag in a slow speed collision. But that's got nothing to do with Tesla's innovation of airbags and all that sort of stuff per se. It was just a unfortunate chemical issue that it basically decomposed into a more volatile state. But yeah, there's no doubt that Tesla are at the cutting edge of the deployment of airbags and the way they deploy.
We need to change the subject. Has any Starlink news? How's your RV mode going for your Starlink? You still got it set up in your car?
Oh no, I took it out of the X. Because it sort of got in the way, to be perfectly honest, because there was like this shaft pointing downwards, so I couldn't put a kid in that seat for subtle reasons. But yeah, no, I've got it. It's just land based now. Again, it's not in the car. But
you were able to switch it back from RV to land based mode, are you?
I haven't tried, to be honest. I've left it in I've just left it in RV mode, and what we'll be doing is offering it. The club will be offering it to borrow for road trips. Although there will be a cost associated with doing so, because we've got to try and recover the cost of the
subscription.
Well, of the subscription, yeah.
Is Newman the first we've heard someone do RV mode?
I think Richard Chapman's.
Nigel.
See you, Paul.
I think Richard Chapman, one of his colleagues, said that it was somewhere near Newman where they had tested it. So obviously it'd be great to be able to test it further north to see how it goes, because unlike the non-RV mode, or let's call it the house mode, unlike the house mode, which is they have a guaranteed service region, and beyond that they give you nothing. The RV mode does best effort. So if it can see a satellite for a few minutes, it'll give you internet, and then if it goes below the horizon or whatever, it'll stop. But
I've been starting to sow the seed at work for the vessel I work on for Starlink Maritime. There's going to be a bit of an effort to try and get this in the works. There has to go through a trial period with the company, but hopefully I'd like to see Starlink Maritime on one of our vessels next year.
Awesome. Well, it's $5,000. I don't know if that's US or if I'm not exactly.
Cheap compared to what they're currently paying. very cheap. Yeah.
Well, make it happen, Damon. Just encourage them to do it as a trial. I dare say SpaceX probably wouldn't. Well, I don't know what the actual, whether you can cancel after a month anyway. So why wouldn't you just literally just get it and try it out?
Yeah, exactly.
It's an amazing service, and as Elon Musk said, you've got 2 dishes, and they have been optimized for marine use. So on a pitching vessel and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd say once someone would do a review on YouTube once it becomes available somewhere in the world. At the moment, I still don't know of anyone that's actually got maritime set up.
Not sure. I have seen articles about some of the cruise lines doing it, or saying they were going to do it. In fact, I'm just looking. No, they don't really have. I mean, on Starlink's. On Starlink's site, it shows the 2 dishes there. I presume that's them. I think that's them.
Yeah, that looks like them. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like them. And notice how they're not even in radomes, so they don't even bother protecting them.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Thought they were the hot plates for the flipping your thin pancakes with the
Cook an egg on top of it.
Your crepe saucepans.
You do know, Russell, that's how they invented microwave ovens. Is they had observed that with the radars in the Second World War that organic items got hot.
Cooking
and that was just through observation.
Cooking the seagulls that land on them.
Unfortunately, this vessel is not a EV because it's got dirty smokestacks either side. But anyway. And getting back to what you were going to say about the coverage, actually the coverage has not yet improved at the moment. So for Australia, so you've still got the Murchison SKA exclusion zone, and then it goes up to Townsville. So that hasn't sort of improved. But
what's SKA stand for? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, that's a square kilometre array. So that's the radio astronomy.
Oh, okay.
It's not a dish, but it's an array, and in the Murchison area, they've got like an exclusion zone. So
looking on the maritime coverage map, it actually indicates the first quarter next year for worldwide coverage, which would indicate laser interlinks between the satellites.
That's exactly the same. So if we look, for instance, say, well, let's go to the top of Greenland, and it's starting Q1 2023, and that clearly is that's extremely high latitude. That's indicating laser links.
Yeah, because I listened to a podcast today where they were speaking about launching the Gen 2 ones, and they were a lot bigger. They couldn't put as many on each transit because they were a lot bigger, and I think they were 7 meters long, a bit heavier and whatnot. So they must have far more functionality if they're that much larger.
That's what the PES dispenser for the Starship is for, isn't it?
Yes. But Russell, that's the Gen 2, but they already have, I want to say several thousand, but perhaps a couple of thousand at least laser link capable satellites, but they need to get approval from the American FAA or whatever. No, FCC. Well, FCC, I think, Federal Communications Commission, to turn them on, and that apparently is just a regulatory thing. That once they get permission, they'll turn the laser links on, and then suddenly they won't need as many ground stations at all.
Will the regional ones become redundant at some point? Just collapse back into the atmosphere and burn off? And
Yep. I don't know how long. I figure it's several years.
I heard 5.
Yeah, maybe 5. Yep, could be right, Damon.
And I'm guessing then the Gen 2s will do the same thing, and the Gen 3s will come out and they'll have like other sorts of lasers or some sort of telekinesis or some shit.
It's it's kind of amazing. You know, Elon Musk, there will never be a physical term like the Musk. Like you got a watt and you got a Kelvin and you got a Tesla.
No, you got a Musk stick.
You've got a Musk stick. So that's a unit. That's a unit of lolly. That's right. It's
the unit for Musk is 2 weeks.
It'll be a unit of time. That's right. It'll be, forget the links bar chains and a month or a fortnight. It's a Musk, and that's 2 weeks. Oh, that's champagne. Ask us anything. That really is.
Just to change the subject, on Saturday, the get together at John's place showing his car and his chargers was fantastic. He did it so well, and he explained how it worked and demonstrated how it worked. It was a fantastic morning. He did a brilliant job. It's a real credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a magic day. It was really good.
Yep.
And he took the time to make sure people, could see it run, see how to start it, to what it did and how it did it, and he showed them the tanks and how it filled and all the rest, and how some settled went in the second tank, this sort of thing, and it's incredible.
Unfortunately, I missed it. I actually flew in this afternoon, so managed to get home for this Ask Us Anything.
Well, he takes the time to explain it to people, and it's very, very good, very impressive.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And he has single-handedly done more for the WA EV community than anyone else by a country mile.
What about
Literally.
ScoMo? Oh, come on.
Well, look, ScoMo was Minister for Everything. For a while, he was also joint secretary and chair of TOCWA, secretly, because we weren't allowed to disclose it for COVID reasons.
No, he wasn't the secretary and the chair. He was the co-secretary and the co-chair.
Co-chair.
He was the silent secretary and the silent chair.
You didn't say in what direction, like more good or more bad. So technically, he could have done more bad than what John's done good in that regard.
He obviously didn't do any towing in his electric vehicle, did he?
He ruined a few weekends.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think there was, on that note, I think there was some federal government news, which is that the government is looking at a white paper or green paper, well, that'll be the next stage, for an a fuel standard. No.
Fuel emissions.
Fuel emissions. Yeah. No, sorry.
Was it Penny Wong that was doing the discussions, I believe?
What the hell is it called? It's called a vehicle emissions standard, I think, or fuel efficiency standard.
I think it was fuel efficiency. Yeah.
They asked the question. They asked the question, "How are you going to fund it?" And they go, "Well, how about we just stop subsidizing oil and gas at $20,000 a fucking minute, and then you can take that money and everything will be fine."
Is that what she said, or is that what she should have said?
No. That's what they. There's been a lot of questions about that. They've been interviewing industry leaders and people who are knowledgeable on the subject, and some of the questions they're asking, I believe they're predetermined questions that people expect to get those questions. They know the answer. So they're essentially leading them on and trying to fill their narrative of what they're asking them, which is, that's just how it works, but they're trying to get a message across anyway. They were questioning the costs of all this sort of stuff, what's going to be the cost to the consumers and that sort of thing. And they essentially just said, well, if you stop funding oil and gas, there's going to be more money than anyone else to do it. So, you can, So,
but that's not politically feasible. So, so stop asking the question, where's the money going to come from, if you don't want to hear the answer.
And they also said, then, well, what will that mean for oil and gas? And they said, well, and this is another question I already knew they were going to answer as well, because I knew the answer myself. And they said that oil and gas in Australia has actually the lowest percentage of any industry of employment in the whole of Australia.
Absolutely.
So the amount of money that goes in to support that small amount of people is the most high dollar to capita ratio of any industry in Australia.
I was at a networking event going back a few years ago, and I was talking to a guy who was the MD of some mining company, and he was talking about their revenues. And, you know, I had in my mind that this guy is the head of this massive company. And then I asked him how many people he employs, and I think he said about 7 or 8. And I went, hang on, our revenue is a fraction, less than a tenth of, and we employ almost 100 people, you know, in solar. So, yeah, it's because all they do is dig the stuff out of the ground and ship it away.
And don't pay tax and get subsidies.
Yeah.
And
what do we get in return for letting them not pay tax and giving them subsidies? What do we get in return? Well, we get 2 things in return. They, pollute our environment, number 1, and number 2, when we really need them, like as is the case at the moment, they turn their backs on us. You know, when there's a, you know, fuel shortage or an oil, you know, there's a supply chain bottleneck or what have you, they price gouge people, you know, in other markets. And
so Russell,
you don't need to play that video, but for anyone who's watching, if you want the backstory about what I was referring to, that's the recording of the Senate inquiry into climate change, where they talk about that sort of stuff. And I believe also, who was I'm just trying to think of the premiers of West Australia. What's his name? Before Barnett, what was the guy's name? It was Alan Carpenter. Alan
Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Alan Carpenter was the one that introduced when you do oil
reservation,
and gas,
the reservation rule. They had to reserve.
Right? So they've been talking to him recently because obviously it's a hot topic. You know, WA secured an agreement of percentage of gas has to come to WA irrespective, right? Pardon me?
That was Charles Court.
No, Pete. That was Charles Court did the guaranteed take or pay for Woodside to first open up gas.
Yep.
But what Russell's referring to is Carpenter legislated that they had a reservation policy that for any gas field that you opened up, you had to reserve. Was it 10%, Russell, or was it?
I don't think it's that much.
I thought it was.
Not sure.
It was a percentage for domestic use. So
it's irrelevant, really, but essentially, as part of that negotiation, he's been in the news recently because, you know, in WA, for example, was 15%. Okay, cool. Yeah. So over east, they're linked
thanks,
to the world
James.
price.
That's awesome.
So they don't get any sort of special treatment. They're going to pay world prices for gas, right? Where in Australia, we pay a cheaper price because we've got this secured amount, which is effectively, you know, cheap, right? But in doing so, the actual thing that we didn't receive as a return, say, hey, well, we're going to do this. We're playing like hard ass. You got to give us the money, but we forego any sort of like profit tax. So when they make extreme profits, we don't get any of that. And also royalties, we forego all these royalties as well as part of the deal. So although we're saving.
So isn't that, Russell, because it's offshore, and I think offshore is federal, whereas onshore is state. So I think that's the problem is most of our gas reserves are offshore. So therefore WA gets no resource rent tax or whatever.
Yes. So as much as it's great having like cheaper gas for WA and whatever, and, you know, it's a great thing to do, that negotiation had to be beneficial to them in some way, and the benefit to them was essentially zero tax. Like, so we, as you know, we feel good about not having to pay much for electricity, because there's gas-fired plants, and, you know, when you turn your cooker on, you're only paying a pittance for it. But at the same time, the taxes we pay to the state government are hugely exorbitant because they're essentially like having to fund all these like you know, subsidies and shit they're giving back to the same companies that taking one hand and giving in the other. So it's not all it seems really. It's a little bit myopic if you just look at like the one issue not in totality.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the best way to overcome all of these imbalances is you just go, let's just count the externalities. And as soon as you do that, you stop subsidizing that which costs money and you start transferring that value into things that earn you money.
Absolutely.
Or save you money. So just
why spend money on more expenses? Why would you not funnel that money into investments that are going to generate a yield for you?
Like Tesla stock. If the WA bumped up on Tesla stock right now and left it there for 10 years, we'd be the richest freaking place in the whole world.
Without a doubt.
We would be. We'd be richer than Norway. We would.
Gina would be pissed off that the state government's got more money than her, for a start.
Yep, and Clive Palmer would probably try and sue us for $50 trillion or whatever. Dearie me.
I mean, there are national investment, like the Saudi, for example, they've got a national investment thing where they invest in the stock market.
Sovereign wealth fund. Yep.
It's not like
future fund. We've got a sovereign wealth fund as well. Peter Costello set it up.
Yeah, the future fund.
Now he's
future fund.
Yeah, the future fund, and now he's is he on the board or on the?
He was. I don't know if he still is. He was.
Yeah, but all the investments in oil and gas and shit, like in nuclear energy and like weapons and stuff, like it's not like it's a self-serving thing to try and give his mates more money. I would.
Well, Russell, if the future fund had invested in Tesla shares 4 years ago, they would have 10 bagged on them.
The best future fund is the Tokwa Patreon.
Which actually, and I'm going to say this for straight face, if you do enjoy our content and you appreciate all the efforts we go into it, please do support us on patreon.com/Tokwa.
Or join up as a member.
Or join as a member. And you don't have to join us because we're still going to, look, you're going to basically get most of the services except for the loan materials, but you still get to participate in Ask Us Anything. You still get to go to all our casual meetups. There might be a couple of meetups where they're strictly number limited through circumstance. And then obviously we give preference to Tokwa members because they get an email with that information. But obviously, if you want to support us on patreon.com/Tokwa, go to YouTube. Well, actually, there's no point in me even saying that because everyone that's watching this on YouTube already has found us, and everyone in the room, by definition, has already found us as well.
I know people that take snippets of this and put it on TikTok because this is so entertaining. So you need to have it in there, Harold, because you never know what's going to happen. They've got to know where it's
right. You know what, Russell? One day we are going to go viral. One of us is going to give a golden nugget of absolute TikTok content that is going to go viral.
It's probably going to be a lawsuit people are referring to check the evidence. That's what's going to be. Something Jared says, I betcha.
That's right. That's right. Oh man.
Well, it doesn't Tokwa have the most members per percentage for the state for any worldwide Tesla club?
Don't know. No, I think the statistic is for any car club in Australia, we've got the highest percentage of owners who are members of Tokwa.
Yeah, so it's not worldwide, but you could probably.
It could be worldwide.
We wouldn't be far off. To be honest, I'm aware of quite a few TOCs or Tesla owners clubs worldwide. And I'm very confident that we punch well above our weight with percentage of member capture or engagement, I guess you could say. And that's not unsurprising because up until very recently, we were in a Tesla wasteland and an EV wasteland. You know,
that's for sure.
As we speak today, if you want to drive to Kununurra, No, you want to drive to Townsville. When I did it in 2018, it was 7,000 kilometers roughly. If you do it today, it's 6,500 kilometers roughly. And the only improvement there is John Edwards's Jurien Bay 50 kilowatt fast DC charger and Tokwa's Geraldton 50 kilowatt fast DC charger. And after that, it's still a wasteland.
And when did you do your trip, Harold?
2018 in November.
So in 4 years, apart from the two
we've gained 440 kilometers of DC charging on a 7,000 kilometer route.
What an absolute shame, hey?
Yeah.
Well,
What a missed opportunity.
you know how many charges the US have got, and I was watching a YouTube one today where they're starting to bank up 10 cars at their charges. So what's Australia going to be like? I think we're going to be good with 2 charges at each place. So
the investment money
we're
is
in
so
the backwater
small, like,
still.
that $20 million is like the smallest amount of money when you put it in perspective of money they spend elsewhere. It's absolutely like it's a tokenistic, uneducated people will think that's a huge amount of money. We can't piss people off because not many people got EVs. It's going to make us look bad. Like, this needs hundreds of millions of dollars. Not
that's what that's the TikTok that's going to go viral. Is
half a billion. South Perth is spending 40 million on a swimming pool.
Yeah.
So it just pales in insignificance.
It's the TikTok that's going to go viral. Is 40 Teslas queued up at 2 Tesla superchargers.
Exactly. And it's going to happen very soon because 800 in this month. It's really going to highlight the situation.
So the Williams one's perfect because it's in a mud car park.
Well, unfortunately, this satellite image is out of date, or aerial photo image, but this is Manning Road and this is going south. There's an on-ramp which has been built, and all it does is it goes from here through this block of flats onto the freeway, right? But you can't see the actual image of it. That one piece of on-ramp costs $30 million.
I know.
And that's 50% more than what was spent on the entire state's fast DC charging infrastructure. One single paltry on-ramp.
I heard a rumor is because you wrote an email to someone and said, hey, my FSD is not working on that bend. Can you sort it out for me? I'm sick of going into manual driving. Is that really what happened?
But Muskie works in mysterious ways, and he rang the then transport minister and said, can we just shut this guy up and give him an on-ramp that the car doesn't freak out on?
Isn't it actually going the other direction?
No, it is. Actually, it is. So since we've discussed this is the intersection. It's Manning Road, and it comes in at a 45-degree angle. And it's got effectively 2 choices. And if you've got to be in the left-hand lane, and Peter Petrosky's seen this because I made him do it at night time, and it's awesome. So you go in the left lane, and the car sees all these lines, and it goes, well, I don't know whether to go left this way or go right that way. And it goes, well, I think I'm just going to split the difference and bin it straight into this light pole right on the corner. And it does it all day, every day, willingly, every time, regardless.
We need 10.69.
Or 69.420 perhaps, because yes, you got Chuck's corner. This is like Harold's Bend, and it's just maybe I need to pop the drone up, and because God knows I'm getting used to flying drones. I must admit I was at Freo several times every day for the last week and a half, looking at cars either being there or not being there, or coming or not coming.
Gee, the drone was stable. It gave very stable pictures. It was fantastic.
It is. It's an awesome. Yeah, it's an awesome thing. Even though I binned it into Peter Harris's face, basically, in the early days. But great to see that, unlike a mechanical device, humans do heal. Now, speaking of mechanical device, I meant to do this much earlier, and I don't know if you recall, a week or two ago, I showed video footage of the Berlin Gigafactory making an excess of gigacastings, front and rear castings for the Model Y. And then the next week or so later, I showed Giga Texas also doing a similar thing. Well, this video that was from a channel called Met God in Wilderness with some Chinese writing after it. This is footage from Tesla's Fremont factory, filmed on the 22nd of August. And have a look at this. That's the Giga press there. And there's some of the castings all upright.
Wow.
And look at that.
They're all just rears, aren't they, Harold? No fronts?
I don't know. I really don't know, Russell.
I don't
tell.
But just look at
this. Look at any fronts at this location yet. I think
possibly not.
Are in,
possibly not. But that is just.
There's tens of thousands there.
Oh, not necessarily. Well, look, probably thousands. And that just goes to show that Tesla will stop at nothing to protect their future production. So whether it's in semiconductors and they will adapt and use different chips in different ways, or producing wherever they can as many castings while they can, to avert what's going to come into Europe, which is a severe energy crisis that is going to hit them this winter, which for them is
they'll be required to shut down some of their operational energy use, and the gigacasting would be a tremendous amount of energy.
Oh yes,
used.
yes.
So switching that bad boy off would probably satisfy the requirements of the government to drop 30% of your power or something, and then they've got a backlog of 6 months worth of parts they can keep using.
Well, and they can ship these and the ones they've got in Texas to Germany just in sea containers. So that's why they've got these frames where they can load them.
Even Shanghai potentially, because there could be energy issues there as well.
Yes, because of the drought. Yep. In fact, I think in Europe they said that they've got a 1 in a 500 year drought, and of course they were showing footage from the Danube, where you've got old Second World War wrecked ships that are showing up on sandbars because the water level is so low, and it's affecting transportation and a lot of other things too. So it's some lean times ahead perhaps, but it is heartening to see Tesla clearly doing something about it.
You know the thing about that though, like that's vehicle production. Like all those are going to be made into cars. Like you could say, look at how many vehicles they're going to make in the next X number of months or years or whatever. Like, oh, you're not going to make it. Just count all those up. That's how many vehicles they're going to make. Like right there, you can tell already they're going to make that many.
Each one of those things is worth in excess of 50,000 or average $50,000 US.
Once completed, not
once completed. No, sorry. Yes, I mean that is what each one of those things is leading to the production of something with a value of $50,000 US.
Yeah.
So it makes absolute sense for them to do this, and you're not going to see Ford or GM or a tier 1 supplier doing this. They'll just say, oh, well, we had to reduce our power output by whatever, and that was it. Because why would they spend money having that sort of stockpile? That's just how good Tesla is. And that's just testament to how good this company is.
It could be the wrong direction, because we all know someone led, and that's why it matters. Like, that's the way it should be done, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was going to say, did someone say share price? What is the share price? I have not looked. Oh, why is that not working? Oh, here we go. It's a bit slow. Sorry. Oh, it's up a little bit. So let me just spotlight that so it's a little bit bigger. Oh, we're up all right, 14, nearly $15. That's not too
Just
bad.
while we're talking share prices, James put some updates on that future fund just for everyone's reference, I guess.
Look, James is an absolute machine. How do you do that, James?
So if this is accurate figures, to only anticipate a 6.4% return on 10 years per annum is absolutely like dismal. And to get a 10% a year, like how much of that is gobbled up with inflation just to start with? If I went to a managed fund and only expected to get 10%, I would fucking like slap the guy in the face and say, what the hell am I paying you money for? Like, that's ridiculously low.
I've just got to get this screen capture. So I just had to download it. Let me just bring it
I'm
up.
pretty sure my superannuation has gone up by more than that. And I don't even touch the damn thing.
So the screenshot that we're talking about is top 100 direct listed equity holdings of the future fund, and Tesla is
conspicuous.
So got Apple and Facebook in there.
Why would you want a fruit company? Why would you want a fruit?
10 cent in there.
10 cent. Rio,
yeah.
Transurban, Facebook. You got Google as well, I presume. The Alphabet. Yep. You got so you got the what's it called? Not the bricks.
The fangs.
What's the fangs?
Fangs.
Yeah. But no Tesla. That's a shame.
Nope.
And the thing is, we all understand that, and this is going to be prefaced by this.
The following segment is general in nature.
No, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that.
The reason why they can't invest in it is probably because they're not investment grade yet. And this future fund would have a AAA rating or something stupid like that. That they,
yeah. And incidentally, that surely must occur, if not by the end of this quarter, by the end of the year. Because
should have happened 18 months ago at least.
But I mean, they've been. I would not be surprised if it's not, because them being taken off the e.g. like the environmental governance S&P, like if that shit happens, then there's no reason why they should even have investment grade if that's the shit that's going to happen. Like you'd be more, if you had to hedge on something, you'd say, yeah, you're more likely to hold your ESG rating than getting investment grade. But yeah.
But for how much longer can all of those ratings agencies defy gravity?
When they did the review, they stated the requirements of Tesla to become investment grade, and the requirements were so arbitrary. It's like, really, like even people who are currently, or companies that are in there at the moment, aren't satisfying those requirements. So it's like it's a different rule upon Tesla for whatever reason, and I reckon it's like some sort of pressure from other companies that are forcing this situation. So I wouldn't be surprised if the goalposts move when they go to re-review the shake-up of investment ratings.
But how many times can they use some arbitrary technicality to try and block something when all of the other metrics, including debt? I mean, how many of those companies that have got an ESG rating or an investment grade rating, I mean, they all have an absolute ton of debt. And Tesla has precisely zero debt.
It's got some,
an outlier,
but
like
zero net debt. Yeah.
So, net debt, zero net debt, and it's almost a metric for traditional people who have MBAs and economists. They'll say, well, if you've got no debt, you're not properly leveraged. Yeah. But the thing is, Tesla can't have debt because they can't spend the money. They're earning too much. Well, it's probably a little bit like Apple. They're earning too much money to have debt. So, but that could be considered a negative. You don't have a good leverage on your investment.
Yeah, but
on your
exactly as you said, they're earning the money faster than they can spend it. Hence why they've
what a wonderful problem to have. And would you? I ask you openly. Would you want to invest in a company that's making more money than they know what to do with? I don't know.
Think about that.
Isn't the stock split tomorrow? US tomorrow. So that's for me on Friday then, isn't it, for us? 25th of August.
Is that when they
stock
trade?
splits.
Is that when they first trade? So that's the Thursday.
They can do it, but it doesn't have to come into an act tomorrow. It can be a while before it actually goes in an act. They can announce it, but you don't necessarily. They can delay the dividend essentially.
No, but they have they've locked it in
approved.
place, Russell. No, it's all been sequenced. So I think the 17th was a record date, which is a bit weird because it didn't actually matter. It doesn't actually matter when the record date is, but they picked a record date, and then they said that you'd then get your so-called dividend, which is not a dividend as we understand it. You just get the two shares for every one you had. So Damon, you're saying that that's tomorrow US time, so that's Thursday US time, which is our Friday.
Electrek is saying that the 25th is the first trading day of the stock split.
Gotcha. Because last week, so famously on Ask Us Anything, it was Dr. Richard Cooper that said, "Oh, anyone that's got Tesla shares, just open your portfolio," and we all duly did. And you'll watch this later, Damon. And all of our accounts said we had 3 times our value. We were 3 times richer.
Yeah.
Because it wrongly multiplied our shareholding by 3, and of course that trading price was the same.
Yeah.
So what was weird, and John Edwards actually explained that a similar thing happened to him on a 10-to-1 split, and he actually sold all his shares in that company, and then ComSec blamed him for inappropriately selling shares that they said he had on their platform, and that he was obliged to fix it by paying back the money or whatever. But yeah, all of our accounts, sadly, a couple of days later got corrected. So now we're only as rich as we were, or poor as we were, 2 weeks ago.
I'm gonna share this. If you
yes, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah.
So can you explain what's the yellow and orange stuff?
Okay, so this is the ratios they look at, and like, in a sense, the more orangey or red the color, the worse it is.
Yep.
This here shows Tesla's what they're performing and shows their rating. And you can see on the side here, there's companies with far worse current financial, I don't know what the right term is, but numbers.
Yep.
Metrics.
Metrics. So
let's pick JP Morgan Chase, number 17.
Yeah.
So they're cash to debt. That's good. So that's nice. It's
that's
not as good
to
as
what
Tesla.
Teslas are, I guess, like in that one. This one here, the lower the better is the number. So equity to debt. So debt to equity. So
so they're high.
Actually, no debt, then it's a very low number.
Yep.
As you move further across.
Debt to EBITDA. Yep. So Tesla's got no debt. So yep. So they're not doing too well. JP Morgan.
It's just that the EBITDA for Tesla is a little bit like, EBITDA. For Tesla,
debt.
Once again, because there's no debt, these numbers so low, it's almost
exactly. Well, but that's the whole point, isn't it? Yeah.
And the same here with debt. A lot of these this is all based on debt. So having no debt means this number can never be bad. The Alban Z score, like, it's only really relevant for manufacturing. So
that's the Altman Z score is a very outdated metric, which doesn't apply to high growth companies. And it's a very basic calculation. But if you just look at that visually, there's only 2 other companies that for all 5 of those criteria have got a dark green color, and that's Facebook and Google. And if you compare Tesla against Facebook and Google, it beats all of them pretty much in every metric. Every one of those 5 categories.
So the rationale behind this investment rating isn't linked to these numbers. The rationale behind why it's not investment grade previously is because they were told that they didn't have a track record of these numbers. So the numbers were still there. The numbers were good, but because it wasn't
long enough.
Year on year sort of numbers, they wouldn't satisfy the requirement allegedly. Whereas
so Russell, have you got, since you're good on graphs and stuff, the reason that is so is because Tesla until recently were not profitable.
Yeah.
But fairly recently they've gone from being not profitable to being exponentially profitable.
Yeah.
But that's not that recent, Harold. That's over a year ago.
Oh yes, I mean, sorry, yes, that's true.
But the thing is, the other thing on the other side of the coin is, how long do you have to have these bad ones?
Yes.
Before your investment drops, because it's disproportional. This BA rating here is far worse than this AA rating here, but these numbers here are more reflective of a lower rating. So like the criteria for going up seems to be far more rigorous than the criteria for going down. Almost like how when you talk about how safe is self-driving have to be before it's on the roads, you can't accept as safe as a human as your benchmark.
No.
It's like the level for success has to be so much higher for whatever reason for Tesla to get in than someone to drop out. It's just because people, the effect of these companies losing their A rating means that potentially trillions of dollars of funding, potential funding, will be pulled from these companies instantly because they're no longer investment grade.
So what you're saying, Russell, is that there's a big impetus. It's like a diode. Once you're in the club, you're going to stay there because it upsets everyone to kick someone out. And it's like being a dog in a manger. You don't want to have new entrants come in because it basically affects, you'll get, what do you call it? Sector rotation. So because it'll come out of those companies and into Tesla by definition, because it's met the criteria.
Some companies are required to invest in every company that has a certain grade, like it's part of their fund management system, right? And if there's only $10 trillion worth of investment to go around, theoretically, that $10 trillion then has to be accompanying every one of these companies. They're in the top 100, for example, and Tesla will then take another share of that $10 trillion.
There'll be rotation. That's right. So there'll be rotation out of all of those other investment grade companies into Tesla in proportion. Yeah. That's
so
a good
it's
chart.
not in these companies' best interests financially to have more people above them, essentially, and that's
And who are the? And it's only Moody's and S&P that actually do the ratings.
Oh, there's one other.
There's another one too.
Finch as well.
Oh yes.
Can't believe the rating Pfizer so good.
Yes. Well, Pfizer's on the margin.
And the thing like ExxonMobil, Chevron, I mean, if any of these things had to do with the future, like these things shouldn't have this investment grade rating. It's like very short term, narrow minded right now, rather than a future driven.
Yeah.
But even if it was realistically, market analysts aren't going to identify these companies at any risk at all at the moment. Like they can't foresee, they're either unwilling or not in a mental capacity to understand the rate of change that's going to come across these companies. And I can see these investment ratings holding on for a very long period of time after the, inevitable's already happened.
Well, what's this timescale?
Because mum and dad investors, the old catchphrase of mum and dad investors, they're going to be investing in these companies in inverted through superannuations, and it's going to be absolutely destroyed because it's going to be tied up with oil and gas companies that are not going to be profitable anymore.
Well, I presume that the timescale is similar to things like what do you call it? Target prices for shares, right? So it's always a 12-month price target. So I presume the investment rating is also a 12-month target, or it's a 12-month rating. So for the next 12 months, we foresee that their rating is this. So sorry, I just got to.
Oh, Jackie was talking in the background.
Yeah, that's cool. I just muted Jackie politely. So these ratings are really short-term ratings, I presume. They're not saying this isn't like. Are these ratings intended to be?
Yeah, but my point is, if this is for 1 year, how low do these numbers have to go before that 1 year is we're now going to adjust it, because these low, there seems to be no commonality. Like it's almost arbitrary. Like these numbers here don't really match up. Like you got an A1 here and an A1 down here, and like these numbers are completely different. It's
well, okay. So for example, if we look at Coca-Cola, which for me stands out because, and I'm only saying Coca-Cola because I can't pronounce what is that? AbbVie. I don't even know what AbbVie is, but say Coca-Cola.
The ab rollers, the ones that you do your abs in the rolling.
With Chuck Norris, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Coca-Cola on those metrics looks pretty weak, but I presume are these the metrics that are used to determine Moody's and S&P's rating, or is this just?
I don't think this isn't the whole story.
No, right.
Yeah,
okay.
This is like the I guess the fun the finance side of the analysis, but not all the analysis.
Yeah. So it might be presenting a slightly skewed picture, perhaps, but still, the principle remains that Tesla is all green, with great ratios. And yeah, you're right. All they're saying is, well, we don't believe that Tesla is a long-term story. We want them to show more runs on the board. And the irony is, by the time that they establish that they're investment grade, their metrics will be so outstanding that there should be a step change in share price, because they'll be a screaming bargain.
Yeah.
Because again, they have zero debt. They make more cash than they can spend as hard as they spend it. And they're building more vehicle plants and other facilities faster than anyone else on the planet.
Do they need to even reassess what a investment grade rating is based on Tesla? Because if they're so far above number 2 in terms of their, analytics for their business, you have to set the new number 1, what's a 10 out of 10? Like currently, the best you can get is like, a AAA plus or whatever it is. Like, do we need like a plus or like when like?
Yep. You go 5-star, you go 6-star, you go 7-star. You just keep adding another rating.
When they do ANCAP ratings for a Model Y, they're restricted by giving it 5 stars, but really it deserves 10. Like the testing they do isn't enough to test all the safety in this car.
So for completeness, James just because he's an awesome producer, he just said that AbbVie's biggest product is Botox, which is literally the most toxic one of the most toxic substances known to human beings. But definitely valued by many desperate housewives of Hollywood. But there you go. They're peddling poison, literally. Thanks for that, James. Yeah, go, Russell.
Yeah. So when does this company like Tesla get to the point where the market cap is so large, the debt is so low, the vehicles are so safe, the robots are so abundant, energy is so free, so they have to reestablish the definition of what GDP actually means anymore. If this contributes to the world in a way that's unfathomable now, and the scales set up to measure things be blown out of the water, when do these scales become irrelevant and the new benchmark is a percentage of Tesla rather than a 10 out of 10? It's like, we're measuring cars and you have to be 70% as good as Tesla indefinitely. So when they innovate, you have to innovate as well.
And Elon Musk actually said that the Tesla bot, which not everyone, because we don't discount it, but all economists have just ignored it as if it's not a thing. They just haven't considered it. And Elon Musk has said that will redefine what economics is, because economics is the effective use of labor. And of course, if labor is infinitely available, then what is an economy?
Energy as well. And if energy and labor are no longer like commodities that need to be priced.
And sustainable energy, not just energy.
Yeah.
So again, the Saudi Arabians have been pulling out what they thought was infinite energy, but it's obviously not. So yeah, you're right. But when you've got
isn't it ironic that the one product that's probably got the most potential or the that can return the highest, as a dollar amount, as an absolute dollar amount, can provide the greatest return of any product out there, is the one product that just gets completely ignored. It gets valued at zero.
But they're pushing the establishment. They're not used to this, and they can't cope with the new player who is so far ahead. They're trying to keep them down, and that's obvious by their ratings. They're the only ones in the Bs, the BB, I think it's BB plus, wasn't it? And
yes,
the establishment can't cope with this new category.
You can imagine in let's say 1800, if someone proposed I guess you could call it a solid state light source, a magic candle that didn't need wax, didn't need wick, didn't need gas, whatever. That no one would believe could be a product or be a thing, and then 100 years later, well, that wasn't ubiquitous. Say 150 years, 130 years later was literally ubiquitous, being the light globe.
Well, could they ever imagine the light globe going out of fashion? Because it's gone out now. It's LEDs.
Oh yes, but as a concept, as you know, before you had the
candle and the match,
whale blubber oil lamps.
Yes.
So what Tesla's proposing with the Tesla bot, none of the economists have actually thought of it as being a real thing or even achievable. So they haven't even bothered to put their minds to thinking about what it's going to do.
Exactly.
But not just that, Harold, because they might have thought about it, but they're not allowed to include it because they can only look 1 year ahead. When they give their price targets, it's a 1 year return on these managed funds.
No, but even if it was a 10-year return, the reason why they can't include it is because they can't quantify it. If you can't measure it, how are you going to,
Well, they've always got to give forward estimates. But they just won't, because Tesla's rocked the boat for so long, in fact, all its life, it's still not accepted.
Well, they can't. How do you measure a Tesla bot? Like for instance, if a Tesla bot cost $50,000 and it could perform janitorial, in American terms, whatever you call that, cleaning services, and it could clean 24/7, what would that be worth per hour compared to a human?
It'll transform some areas.
Well, you could just go to schools and work, go to one school and clean it for an hour at 8 p.m. and then at 9 p.m. clean another one for an hour, and 10 p.m. and blah, 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 onwards, because you can't do that to humans. I mean, some people do shift work and that becomes expensive.
Yeah.
It's going to be so disruptive because a lot of people will probably have to go into a universal wage, because there'll be people that aren't required to do those jobs anymore. But the economy was so much richer that maybe many people won't be working and they'll all just participate in a universal wage, which is...
I think I figured it out. So the reason why they got to rate it down is because there's the difference between the worst case scenario where you're going to make a lot of money and the best case scenario where you're going to make a ton of money. The difference between those two is such a big margin that it's a risky investment because you don't know that you're going to make a ton of money or a lot of money. So it's too risky. So they're going to mark it down.
Well, see, that's one of the problems. One of the ways that Wall Street measures risk, and once again, this is because they haven't worked out any other way to measure it, is by variability of returns. So the more volatile a stock, the more risky. But just because something's more, but then if you take the exact opposite of that and say, okay, well, I've got a return that doesn't change. I've got a stock that doesn't change at all. Well, by definition, if it doesn't change at all, it's never going to grow. And it's like you're 100% going to lose money because inflation is going to be more than returning zero. So it just doesn't make any sense to measure risk by volatility, but that's the only way we know how to measure risk. So
in the future, when there's abundant electricity for essentially free, and there's robots doing everything, which makes everything free as well, the bigger risk is deflation, not inflation.
Yes.
Like that's a far bigger probability than any sort of inflationary measures right now.
Well, deflation can't happen, Russell, and the reason why it can't happen is because governments haven't yet figured out how to tax in a deflationary environment. And if the government can't raise revenue, they won't allow that environment to happen. So they'll just print money infinitum until there is some inflation.
Well, China actually famously was introducing some deflation with their price reductions and efficiencies in production. So a lot of goods, electronic goods up until very recently. Well, for instance, I remember my father bought me a Tandy Radio Shack, a TRS-80 computer. It was built in September 1980. I got it for Christmas in 1980, and it cost him, I think it was $1,100 back in 1980 money. And that was a computer that was so ridiculously slow, it's just not funny. And you can buy a PC for much less than $1,000 in today's money. So a lot of those, and cars, up until recently, I bought a Fairmont Gear in 1995 for $45,000, thinking that was a good value. And, 20 years later, you could buy the same thing for the same money, even though inflation had, eaten that away.
That's been more than offset by the fact that 20 years ago, you could buy a can of Coke for 10 cents and now it costs you $1.50. That's been more than offset.
Yeah.
By
or a house, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to be, because in a deflationary environment, it means that all you have to do is take your savings and put them under your cushion, and then in 10 years' time, you'll have more purchasing power. So
yes, and delay your purchases so you say, I'm not going to buy it today because if I wait till tomorrow, it'll be cheaper.
Exactly. So it rewards savers. But how do you tax that? Now you've got more purchasing power by just
but the whole system of economics is going to change, because if labor's cost zero and energy cost is zero, those two things are such a huge part of the economy at the moment, then the whole perspective of how these things are managed is not going to be the same. That's the fundamental part of it. So the thing about taxes and stuff, it's a valid point, but I don't see the tax system being the same as what it is now when this is a thing. It just can't work.
No. Well, and the thing is, I guess the big argument is, if there's one company that provides all the labor, then notionally they ought to earn all the income. And then I guess you can say, well, then the governments just decide to make that company pay all of us a share of that income because, well,
it's taken the jobs.
It's taken all of the labor because it's providing it cheaper than we ever could offer it for.
Yeah.
So, which is unfair to us, say. So then you've got to structurally decide that 1 or 2 or 10 companies have to share the profit with all of us.
Well, the world reserve currency could change to Tesla shares. Might make it more stable.
Don't know about that. But in terms of taxes, how did taxes originate? Where did the idea of taxing the population come from?
Well, it came from to fund your army, wasn't it? It was It was for a king to fund an army to protect your stuff.
Exactly. It was supposed to be temporary, just to finance that war.
But wars always happened, so it was piecewise temporary until the next war, and then which there always was one. So
exactly. And there's people in the US saying that taxes are illegal or unconstitutional because they should have never. But we may get to a stage where we'll go the full revolution, where in a decade or 2 or 3, rather than giving everyone a universal income and, taxing people, why don't you just take the tax away? And do you know what I mean?
No, you know how there's that saying that there are two things in life that are certain: death and taxes. Well, Tesla and Neuralink could reverse that, whereby governments pay everyone money, so it's a negative tax. And because we can tap into Neuralink and it can basically suck our brains out and then project them into a cloud, then we won't die. So not only will we not die, we won't pay tax, and we'll actually be paid money.
Yeah, you can put your consciousness on ice, and Tesla with its Tesla bot will replace. Yeah, exactly.
Right, now on that very big note, one thing as a bonus is please do a couple of things before we go. Have a look at Landline on the ABC. There should be an interesting article about EVs.
Is that come out already, Harold?
No, the 28th. So I think that's the Sunday off the top of my head.
Sunday at 12 o'clock probably.
This coming Landline on the ABC. So have a little look. Just a pro tip for those in YouTube land watching all the way to the very end.
Is it going to feature anyone we know?
Possibly.
The question is, do you want to know them? You may know them, but do you want to know them?
And it
if there's not a Polestar on it, I don't want to watch it. That's what my motto is now.
I literally don't know what's on it because I haven't seen it, obviously. But anyway, that's just a little pro tip there. Just have a little look. If not live, obviously just on iView or whatever. And
it'll be on YouTube too, on the ABC News Australia YouTube.
Oh, right. What, the whole episodes of Landline and stuff?
Yeah, they're all on ABC Australia,
Yeah, cool. I usually watch old episodes of Mr. Squiggle and stuff like that.
I just watched Tokwa.
The moon landing and stuff like that.
And also, obviously, stay tuned for next week because, like I did promise before the news, hopefully we'll have some specky stuff next week on Ask Us Anything.
So before we wrap it up, could I ask a question? Why is the auto parking in our car so shit compared to other? Because it shouldn't be that bad. Like, it's so shit. Like, I've tried it a few times now. It is crap. When you compare it, like
Russell, I took a father and his son for a drive today, just before. That's why I was a bit late, and I tried it about 5 or 6 times in about 3 different car parks, and it wouldn't come on. And I've been in the car driving around all day today, and I've probably parked about 8 or 9 times. And every time when I didn't want it, it came up. The blue button came up. And the one time I wanted to show it to someone, 6 times, if I didn't try it 6 times, I didn't try it once, and it just wouldn't come
and even
on.
when it does, it parallel parks. It's like a freaking meter away from the curb. Like, you're half on the road. Like, I watched a YouTube video just to see if it wasn't just my car, and like the Audis, the Mercedes, like all these other electric vehicles, even the Marquee, their system's freaking like worlds ahead of Tesla's system in parking at the moment. Like, it's not even comparable.
It's dropped the bundle. Yeah, they've dropped the bundle.
And also, what they did do, they test a old Model S with an older computer on it, and it parked like a dream first go. So it's like when they've upgraded to the newer computer system, the version 3 or whatever it is, it's like downgraded all that functionality of the parking.
Well, a corollary to that is I tried for the very first time to do a advanced summon, and I did it, at work. My car was inside this building, and this bay here was actually vacant, and I was standing here, and I told the car to come to me, and I thought it would go this way around like that. What it did was it came out of the building, it went straight into the bay. It then reversed and did a 3-point turn going backwards, and then started driving this way, which impressed the absolute crap out of me. But then, of course, it got to the boundary line and then just stopped because this is the road reserve and it knows it's not allowed to go on the road reserve, and that was the end of the session. But the fact that it actually did like a 3-point turn, like it did it went into a parking bay, reversed and went in a different opposite direction, and that impressed the absolute crap out of me. And I thought, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, but it still didn't get to you. I mean,
well, no, because it didn't realize that it should have gone this way and not that way. And of course, its system went, well, as soon as it hit the road reserve, it went, stop, I can't go there.
If you could set waypoints on it, so you could say you must go past this waypoint.
Yes.
On the way. You drag
feature request, Elon.
You know, rather than going one way traffic that's not marked or whatever.
So,
you know?
So you can help it. So you go, look, I you're only I wouldn't say a dumb computer, but it doesn't know where it is really. It's just looking.
And car parks,
you could have helped it.
Rules. Car parks are like anything goes. So to tell it to go one way, even though it's not marked, it could be that's just the way this car park works, and that's the way you got to go.
Yep, absolutely.
But still, it doesn't excuse the point of the actual parking. Like the parallel, like it doesn't work. Like I'm paying for enhanced autopilot. That's one of the features. That feature does not work. They should not be recognizing full profit off that enhanced autopilot because it's not delivering functionality.
Which is true. And what that means is what they should do is for every version that comes out, if it makes it worse, they should depreciate that value. And if it makes it better, they should appreciate that value. Yeah. And they should be honest and go, yeah, our last rollout was a bit crap, and we're gonna take a bit of money off the books because it's crap.
So there is a website called moretesla.com where there's suggestions and stuff, and you can upvote them and stuff, software updates or software suggestions, and that there has been a history that Tesla do read these and have actually implemented some of these ideas. So it might be a website to go to upvote or even put in your suggestion if it's not there.
Yeah, cool. What was that website again? Sorry, Damon?
Moretesla.com.
Moretesla.com. Awesome. Well, we should all do that, and not necessarily.
Well, the good thing that we can have this conversation is we haven't bought another car, which is that's all you're ever going to have. Full stop. So the fact that we can even talk about getting it better is almost better than having something that's better, if that makes sense. Because although that thing might not get better all of a sudden, there's going to be 20 other things that are better next week that we don't even know about at the moment.
I don't mind my car to go 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and sometimes even 3 steps backwards and then 1 step forwards 4 times over. Doesn't matter. You're right, Russell. The point is our cars are evolving before our eyes, whereas no other ICE car is doing anything like, or even EV for that matter, to be perfectly honest.
If you compare an EV right now with a Model Y, for example, like the Marquee, for example, and let's just say, like, just for the purpose of this argument, that right now they're comparable. Like right now they're the same car and they have the same functionality. In 6 months' time, that Marquee is going to be identical, but Tesla's going to have 60 revisions to that car in that space of time already. So they might not revise the Marquee for 3 years. It's going to be the exact same car for 3 years straight. In 3 years' time, the Model Y is going to be like different battery pack, different software suite, different cameras, different castings, seat belts, different seats, like all that stuff's going to be new. And it's not like they wait a year. Whenever it's good enough to go, the next available car on that production line has got it. It's not like, oh, we'll wait to the end of the week. It's like, bang, no.
Well, Model 3, there was a report. I didn't put it in the news because I don't like putting things in the news where it's just someone said this is going to happen necessarily, but we know it sort of is that it looks like Tesla are going to put in that different LFP chemistry into Model 3s and presumably later Model Ys, which will extend their range by, I think it was 15% and cost less. So that's an incremental improvement that's going to happen. So there'll be a batch of 3s in the next quarter or 2 or whatever that will be manifestly superior and cheaper or the same cost.
And Model Ys will have
and Model Y is the same. Yeah.
I'm not convinced on that report at the moment. Because
Yeah,
the
that's
same
that's
person
why
that
that's why
reported
I didn't
that,
put it in the
yeah.
news. So I
It's not unless Tesla announced it. I'm a
Yes.
bit dubious about that one because the same source has said blade batteries. I'm like, oh, I don't think blade batteries are coming to Tesla's. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's
Yeah, well, and that's why I tried. Today was a unusually late news day. Like I literally hadn't finished the news. I hadn't finished listening to the news or checking it until 7:28. Basically, it was literally as soon as I finished, I went, yeah, I can log on. But
yeah, you
the
need
news,
to pick up your game, Harold. What's the show you're running here?
But you know, there is that saying that if you copy off one person, that's plagiarism. If you copy off lots of people, that's research. But you can't just read someone else's article and then go, oh, that's job done. You've got to go to the original source and go, oh, you know, is it legit or is it just speculation? And it might be true, but it's speculative, and you just got to do the right thing. But anyway,
people are cancelling their orders because they think a better battery's coming. Like they're getting Osborne to the shit house. This could be a ploy by another company to try and slow down sales, for all we know.
Yeah, and there's no point. By definition, every Tesla that comes out every quarter is better than the one before. So what are you going to do? You're going to wait forever.
Yeah.
You might as well do what we've all done, is just buy it and enjoy it. And if it means in a few years' time you're going to buy another one, which several of us are doing, well, so be it. So what? You know?
Yeah, my 3 is going to be Robotaxi, and I'm going to buy another fucking model, whatever it's going to be by that stage when they come out, and I won't drive the 3 anymore. I'm going to start making me money, and I won't see it again, but I'll still own it.
That's it, exactly. All right, we're getting on in time. It's time to wrap this up. Next week's going to be exciting. All the best of luck for all of those people that are getting their Ys in the next week. I mean, there's some as early as Monday, which is going to be awesome. And well, you, Russell, lunchtime, 1:30. That's going to be. I hope you tweet it out and send out stuff. And
nah, I'm a bit conservative like that. I don't really like to put myself out there too much.
That's all right. You can just gloat about. Look, I tell you what, we'll give you Russell's segment next Wednesday. I promise. On Ask Us Anything, where you can tell us all about it and all your experiences. How's that? That's a promise.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
You'll leave it. Not that
Yeah, well, you can take it or leave it. We'll give it. You can.
I'd rather someone be ahead of the curve more than me. So maybe we can cross to him instead.
Well, since there is someone in this room that is ahead of the curve, I guess it's appropriate to ask the said gentleman, how would you round out this show?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, which we've done and we continue to do. Join Tokwa, which we've also done, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Really, really look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, and we'll join you next week on Ask Us Anything.
All the best.
Cheers.
Take care.